ฮะ
แล้วก็ตัวมาตัวที่ได้แชมป์แบบนี้เป็นดับเบิลคิว
ต่อด้วยสวยงามครับโอ้แล้วเป็นคิวครับอินโดครับมาไปแล้วยิงด้วยครับดูสิครับยิงมาน็อกไปหนึ่งครับก็หัวไปแล้วไปต่อครับเดียมจีปุ๊บโอ้มาดูตำแหน่งคลานมาลุกอะไรมายิงแล้วก็แมนด็อกครับผมทีมด็อกครับได้แชมป์ไปในเกมแรกนี้
เก็บไปครับยักษ์ยิงต่อครับได้ยังไง2 3อีกแล้วหนึ่งไปคูเซียลูเอสแล้วระเบิดเขาจะได้เราเกมมิ่งครับน็อตเกมซับได้
ฮอนเองก็โดนด้วยครับเมื่อกี้ครับ
ใช่ครับได้นัดเดียว
SKS ครับผมแล้วเก็บไปเลยครับไม่1 นัดครับหัวครับของนั้นเห็นแล้วยิงสบายเน้นเรียบร้อย2 ตกครับผมเนี่ยครับ
เฮียดาไปครับผม
โอ้โหอ้อม
ครับผม
ถือว่าสวยครับธนวัฒน์มาช่วยยิงครับจากนั้นนี่ธนวัฒน์เก็บได้ไหมครับแล้วมีแล้วเก็บได้ครับลงวินเจอครับตอนนี้ยิงสู้ได้ไป1ครับผมยิงเก็บไปเลยสวินครับเอาไปต่อครับด้านบนมีคนละปิโนไม่ง่ายเหมือนกันครับปิโนถือว่าแม่นนะตอนนี้
靠近 FTD 的解决性够吗？正面跑过来被击倒了一个，而且有可能再被击倒一个。
好，这边小天幕又立功了，
到天选，
位置可正。
耳听到声音要摸到侧身跳了，这边打了一个。
左手边不远处被孤城看到，直接是打倒了小组。
哇，站起来补子弹，但这时候又打倒了19，反而是有机会。
为什么让逼近了？这边的话一波点射。
电看看闪电一个炸雷吗？这是没有注意到这个什么啊？烟雾弹，但是这一下，哎呦 ，BT 赶了过来，
非常漂亮。除非等一下圈缩在了下面的防区。
对 ，OMG 这边并没有盲目的移动，没错，还是在原地。水娃这边还是被气波川打掉，这样的话就更加锁定了队友的位置。
最后所有人
都看厕所，
看到远端的人了。哎，这里，
但是这边的话开枪了，发现，好的，
恭喜各位！一波全自动打头，把烤人压了回去，搜索被瞬间放倒，击倒。这家有车被打炸，虽然小兵在圈内，但是没有能够抵挡顾屯的最后一枪，恭喜 4AM。
уезжает оттуда, Дрейнис попадает.
Сок не получает урон. Юзер, насколько жестко, что вы творите, парни?
Треха, просто Треха лежит и стреляет, это стреляющая трава, ребят, что творит Треха?
Это будет развязка, сможет ли Оник? Пошел Оника нет вариантов, Оника зажимает и есть попадание.
Нави, друзья, Нави тащит, отличная игра, отличная катка.
Классный старт.
Сковородочкой.
Еще и сковородочка.
Сейчас это сматывается, потому что очень мало хп также остается. Нокнутый Зика, тачка горит, можно ее взорвать, сейчас получится ли? Да!
Сейчас катер. У Авангарда. Хаешечка, я вижу уже.
В Тиму прилетает. И минус Авангард от Форзон.
Приехали, что они просто вообще. У Круга была стратегия, и он ее придерживает.
Дроп для винсайд прибывает. Дроп для винсайд, друзья.
Оу, Магистр,
посмотри. У Дрейниса проблемы, остается всего лишь один лейм. Не жить лейму здесь никак. Как бы он ни пытался, форзы забирают себе.
Zero. Oh, he wants a little bit of revenge there. The circle.
And he's playing for it.
It's a method circle once again. And Fuzzbase gets himself another.
Look at this. He's got a perfect beat on 2 different points. If they push at the same time, maybe they can get him. But they're coming out in different syncs. He's already. They're just waiting there. A nice spray from Sellers. Turns back. Gets another one. That's 2 already down. Gonna go for the 3rd one. That's gonna put all
names right now. Morman gets a pick around the side. Oh, managed to find the head. Gets a really smart approach. He does spot 1. He might spot 2. He's going to take his time. This is so nice. Please tell me you've got the aim to back this up. And he does it. He's going to spoil what we do. Oh, the flying touch. This is perfect for Rose. Can't see how even. Oh, that's a shot. Look at the range he's playing on. Oh, jeez. That's even weaker.
falls, flips the bind. Unfortunately, he goes.
Feels bad. That's horrible. Atlantis. Oh, the 180 turn.
みたいな感じでね、はい、とどめを刺しに行くようなプレーがありましたが、やはりこの高所とリベンジ、おーっと右に迂回してクリムダインを落として2人目、ツーダウン入ってる様子がかかる。キルロが並ぶのはペンタグラムリバイブ、クラス1の皆さんを一掃しました。さあドンカツを取ったのはショットガン、カイヤ上から勝負、アサルトライフルどっちが取る、ショットガンが取った、ソロモンホワイトチェック、うわこれ最高のグレネード、もしかして天井に上がって、
これは部屋の
横もう一個横が、うわ取るんだ、やめてルイ TV それだけはやめて、グレネード車両の火炎瓶、さあそこからスモーキーが詰めてくる、それはやめてくれ、スモーキーひどすぎる、ひどすぎる、いや使い方がアニモンスターがここで横やりを入れていく、しかしながらワンオンフォー、さあドンカツを取ったら目の前の PLG フェアリー1名ダウン、ダウン取って上2名がツーダウン、一旦回復、火の風に隠れて南側から狙っていく、ダウンをゾーンしてきた不記録選手ですが絶対絶命、記録、さあ頭見える、完全に挟まれている、これは苦しいか、ドンカツを取ったのは
자, 싸움을 계속 걸어주고 있는 모습이고 인디고. 자, 상대가 밀리고 있는 돈. 이거 안 쏘는데 저기
와, 그 두 명을 상대로 눕히고 총으로 한 명 눕히냐?
태민아 살아있고요.
저기 있길 바라는 거죠, 지금.
이거는요 다섯.
그리고 사도도
가능성이
2대2 길다 득장
살리는 거. 그렇죠. 두 명 기절.
아, 그냥 기록이요.
이제 영광스러운 죽음을 맞이할 수 있습니다.
아, 예. 오피. 자, 보면 오피디 레인저스.
우릴 수 있었다.
진정한 고춧가루.
Apokalip bu arada Vasili çok güzel yakaladı orada. Vasili ilk oyuncuyu düşürdü. Vasili ikiyi de düşürdü. Bir puanı cebine koydu Marco bu arada. Six boyu düşürdü orada.
Çok tehlikeli bu arada.
Iron BSD'yi düşürdü. Giger da Iron'u vurdu. Bu arasında kaldı. Colorist smoke içerisinde taradı orada. Bir kişiyi düşürmeyi başardı. Şimdi Smash'la karşı karşıya geldi. Daha fazla dayanamadı Satisfier'man. Orada Anatolia'yla evet Giger karşı karşıya geldi. Anatolia Giger'ı düşürmeyi başardı. Bir oyuncu daha var mı etrafında diye şöyle bakıyorum. Evet var. BSD'yle her an karşı karşıya gelebilir. Anatolia'yı da vurmayı. Daha doğrusu evet. İkinci defa gördük. Evet, bugün ikinci defa gördük mü?
Evet kendi arabasına
Kendini nokladı. Noklandı mı öldü mü o?
Oldu bu arada Blackjack'ten güzel bir...
Prone trying to do it, but he didn't know he was there. Stab goes down, but Moody there to trade, but there's more coming from Fast Rail.
So much damage already taken. He peeks back up.
Wow.
Gets the down onto one of them, but it is not enough. Honey Badger Nation comes out with a round win.
But now it's going to be Wildcard took the fight that they could, but they are being punished by Team Gates. Daz is down as well. They are not out of trouble yet.
CeeLo needs to be active and get a little bit of firefight. You know, it looks like they've already burned through all their smokes just to get into this position. Liam has to run.
On the tree, McCoy with the bush.
Team Gates
he's
still in a great
it.
position. He gets ahead of it just barely. McCoy's running out, but it's Gates right there. Those are the guys in third place. They don't see him. He gets it down onto one of them. And Caden just knocks them back down. They are trying to get some type of spot inside the circle.
they're at the top of their game. 7 kills here, great compound of the circle, but not the next.
Critical as well. He's confirming the kills and
Spotted music off in the background. Ronan's going to push up though. He finds Testy. Another knockdown coming from Bandit Esports here. Edge has spotted them though. Missed shot from Waikiki Mukau. Kazarus is dead as Peeper Potato. His butt is sticking out from the tree. Mukau's looking for the revive. Never mind, he's going to get sprayed down. Edge comes up clutch for the Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs indeed, Vandy.
Zesco's done a really, really good job of rank tanking, and somehow, Ian, Peeper Potato is still alive for the Chiefs. Gaming and Kingdom Gaming have got all the cards in their back pocket. They have the high
B1. It's been a great performance for Greyhound. Talk about it all the time,
Yeah.
And that's what got.
Not sure about this one. And there goes 2 of the SYF members just again quickly into the circle. Chiefs, they can choose when to take these fights. Coming in from that high ground, exactly what I spoke about. Cozy here, but can't have that high ground advantage. And Kingdom Gaming is actually still alive.
Yep. They're
I've
going to
been
ruin Mark's hopes.
It's 1 versus 1. Cozy's been spotted. The spray there from as they close out the final game here.
Tratando de hacer bastante daño en los chicos de Space Monkey.
Viene que con número 3 lo salvaba del daño del Free Fire que va a hacerlo para llevárselo al game. Con la cobertura de la caja lo empiezan a arrollar, pero tiene la ventaja la tercera persona del Free Fire que se le lleva doble kill. Que tiene un integrante, Furious Gaming que tiene un integrante y también a la gente de Pandora que también tiene un integrante. ¡La granada de Dragons acechando! Modo aquí contra. La zona que avanza, tiene que salir, lo va a buscar por arriba, no te llevar, se lo lleva, tiene que poner esa cobertura, trata de rematar. Y lo remató a Faika, no podía llevarse los puntos, aparece suyo que se lleva 1, cabro, que queda al piso y quedan 1 contra 1. ¡Sí! ¡Gracias Imperium! ¡Gracias Imperium!
Aún fuera, muy fuera del círculo, buscando el tiro Ragnar. Ragnar está mirando, encuentra tremendo.
Aparece eliminando un player más de Furia. Aparece Silsen, está en el piso. Silsen, por favor, te lo lleva.
Ahora Ragnar empieza a apoyarlo, encuentra ahí, lo veamos y lo elimina.
Ragnar lo encuentra, Silsen, el ángulo perfecto, lo baja uno. ¡Que lo lleva la partida!
这边是拿2队，所以我觉得他们不会选。哇 ，K3 看到了，这边直接出手，漂亮爆头。哇 ，headshot 的 JK 有机会，哇，漂亮炸倒削边，然后这边打开破口以后往这边直接冲进去，队友想救，
屁股往有力，加上 Gavin 剩下再一个。
哇 ，Gavin 刚刚那个救其实有点不太理智哦。
非常危险，转角直接看到跳了起来的 Zack 直接被放倒了。
哦，直接在烟里面救，也不怕死手雷吗？哎，出来了，哇！就是我说的 fighter 有造拳的优势，其实他们比他们更多。就是瑞贵在烟里面没有被灌死的情况下冲了出去，哇，被看到了，两边的对打，反而是1打1的，来到了是2打4，还有可能1打3。这边来一个手雷在2楼，刚才这边直接被爆起来，哇！恭喜 fighter 这边是满边胜利，刺激到今天的第6局。
第2就是第1，是这样的一个概念。第1直接往前，不是被倒，做 JY。但是 Afro Repeat 也在失真中，状态非常的差。
看见人的声音就在楼梯底下，哇！看到自己扫射，是4打1，
蹲着在转角
，M4 掌握到第1波情报，
直接击杀掉。
Oh my god, Rifan adalah tim pertama yang keluar.
波对枪，
哇！
突然过来，大哥还跑掉。
大哥上了，
看这个角度
对枪，哇！二踢！
Его сейчас что сделать? Это спальня, забивается, я в спине. Now red zone. Kramer has a perfect tackle. Meanwhile, Graydon here.
Oh, can you see any more?
A little bit. Oh, that. Going down into the find the last. That is a punch in the up here. On the corner. Oh,これこういう時代ですよね。대부분 능선에서 사냥이 붙어요.
just to get into this position. From Slime Squad.
And he's not moving at all as Team Gates pops up. Like they're in a lot of trouble.
They're just trying to go for position. Nice shots coming out from the Archway.
Snap to press. Oh my God! Where Click gets the kill and gets the win. Two common gadgets, I don't know. Not the net. It's fine, he's gonna get breakdown in!
Burada bir şanlı bu arada üçüncüyü başardı. Tekmeyi başardı. Şimdi Smash'la karşı karşıya geldi.
A warm welcome, ladies and gentlemen, as we are ready here for the PGI 2018. The arena's filling up and we're getting here for the pre-show to break everything down as we start on the road here to crown ourselves a world champion. My name's Kyle Laris. I'll be your desk host throughout the next couple of days, of course, and to my left, joining me to get things going, we have Boogie and we have Avenger. Gentlemen, it's a great feeling to be here, finally, live from Berlin in the Mercedes-Benz Arena, right, Avenger?
I mean, honestly, here, it's been two months leading up to this. The arena's filling up. It's an insane arena. I've been looking forward to this for so long.
Yeah, it's an absolute insane feeling to be here, to know that the best teams in the world are going to be competing here. We're going to be alongside to them, showing the journey. It is indeed a fantastic feeling, and we were very excited to go on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a lot of good teams from all across the world. All regions going to be represented here as thousands of teams, literally thousands, were trying to qualify for their opportunity to get here to Berlin for PGI 2018. And gentlemen, overall, we saw a lot of qualifiers throughout the PGI series. How we saw those unfold, though, were very different from region to region. Of course, Avenger, you were at quite a lot of those, being able to commentate how they went down. So what did you make of the road here to Berlin as a whole?
I mean, it's been the hardest road for some of these teams coming into this. It's a new meta. We're going from 16 teams to 20 teams. So leading up to this, they haven't had much training. So they've been trying to train throughout when they qualified. So it's been a very rough road for these teams coming here. But I think we do have some of the best teams in the world here.
Absolutely. They're going to have to adjust their play style a little bit too. Of course, some of them had it a bit easier, but when you consider that you have so much more teams that you have to fight against, the pathing especially is going to become a bit more difficult, especially starting with the first circle.
Yeah, we'll see of that, of course. We can break that down a little bit before we get into our first games, of course, and how everybody actually got here. But let's talk about, some of the teams that didn't get here, of course. Teams like FaZe weren't able to get here. Vitality didn't even actually get themselves to that European LAN where they were able to try and qualify, of course. So, but regardless of the facts, all the teams here that we've had have proven themselves in grueling circumstances, and I think adaptability is something that's really shone through, right?
100% adaptability is the key here, because, you know, leading into going from a different meta to something that's completely new, it's different from how they play, it's different how they approach the circles, it's new circle settings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are some very exciting qualifiers that are very close, and then there are the other qualifiers where we saw teams just absolutely bashing it, proving themselves after just 2 days.
Absolutely. We have to consider, of course, that we have a lot of new viewers coming into this scene as well. Probably for the first time they're watching an esports event for PUBG. We've been around for a while, and God knows that we've been trying hard. But we have to mention on the circle stance that they are different from the normal circles. They're not the circles that we're used to playing on public matches, of course.
Right.
These ones are a bit slower to shrink. They're going to be a bit slower to shrink all the way until the further end. And then the very last circle has the start in the very middle and not a lot of time to wait.
Very much so. What are the very specifics of that Avenger? Because I know that some of the circle settings mean that we're kind of eliminating a lot of that water ratio later on down the line in the circle. So can you elaborate a little bit on that more?
I mean, on top of that, the fourth circle will guarantee as little water as possible.
Yeah.
The first circle is the same size as we actually have in casual settings. And then the circles, they move, as you said, very much slower, but also the damage. So you can't stay out in blue as much. But then again, we'll see these teams, we'll have a lot more teams alive towards the end. And they will be bigger as well. So the later game circles will be a lot bigger. There will be a lot more play space to be in that.
So overall, looking at how our schedule shapes up and what we're looking forward to here at Berlin, obviously one of the big factors is that we're going to be playing not only first person, which is very predominant here in Europe, but we're also going to be playing third person as well. So we're going to have 2 days of that third person and then 2 days of first person as well. What are the big major differences that you guys are looking at? We're going to start with you when it comes to TPP going up against FPP.
Well, it's a battle royale in itself. The fight between TPP and FPP has been indeed a tremendous kind of climb, I suppose, for all the teams, trying to get to that point where the tactical advantages really shine. And so far in Europe, we do agree that FPP is the best of them all. We do want to see that a bit more in all the tournaments, and we would love to see it played only, but you still have to consider TPP as a valid method of deciding who the best player is. On that game, though, it becomes a bit more of a tactical pursuit into who places themselves in the circle better, and of course you have to, play a bit more slow, let's say. FPP brings it a bit more excitement.
I mean, especially how you rotate is very much harder in TPP compared to FPP. There's so much more players playing in open spaces because you have this third person advantage where you can just look around, staying mobile, but you can look so much around. You have so much more you can see, and also being in compounds, you can lie down without showing yourself, but get information all around. Yeah. But also, of course, the TPP, the majority of the casual players play TPP still, correct? But the competitive scene, they're much more agreeing towards the FPP is the competitive way. That's also why we're, of course, having both FPP and TPP here at PGI.
And I think what's the most important to know off the back of that is that when we have these clash of regions, West meeting East especially, East we see a lot of TPP in competitive play, however in the West we see a lot of FPP in competitive play. So that's a great opportunity that we get here. All of these teams are going to be playing on both modes, and they got to go up against one another in their kind of preferred setting. So we're going to see if, say for example, the Western teams can kind of trump the TPP version against the Eastern teams, and vice versa, which is very exciting.
Well, honestly, we saw at OGN where we saw Optic go there, we saw FaZe go there, and they actually did very well. Vitality as well. They actually did very well in their setting where they were not used to. So they actually came out playing FPP for a lot of months, not playing TPP at all, not training TPP in a competitive meta, came there and FaZe got second, which says a lot that if you're a skilled competitive player, I think that you're also able to do good in TPP. I do think we're going to see teams from the Asian region do better in TPP compared to FPP, obviously because they have the training there, but we'll see. This is what we're here for, of course.
Yeah, and of course the transition from FPP to TPP seems to be a bit easier, of course, because FPP is a bit more difficult. You need to have a lot of tactical approaches, an honest game. You're not allowed to make any mistakes, and of course that tactical advantage you were mentioning earlier of seeing all around you without having actually to show your player character is a big advantage.
Yeah.
But from TPP to FPP, and that's a bit of a bit of a harder transition, as we've seen in the China qualifiers. Of course, 4AM did absolutely fantastic when it came to TPP, but in FPP they actually came in second to last. So we'll see if these teams are going to be ready for what is going to be a very difficult competition in the last 2 days.
Yeah, that's actually a great example that you do bring up there with the Chinese region, because they're a region that gets to play a lot of both when it comes to their play styles, how they kind of exude themselves in the game a little bit more. 4AM being that good example, of course. My friend over here woke up at about 4 AM, so he's rooting for them.
Oh yeah, we all did.
I mean, honestly, 4AM, they've been a long-standing roster. They've done well. They came to European tournaments and did well, so I'm rooting for them. Yeah, I think they're going to be doing good.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I don't mind that. Beyond that, though, who else are you kind of looking out for? Have a scout's eye out for? Who you think may be able to do well here, be it TPP or FPP? What are your thoughts? Going to start with you, Boogie.
Yeah, well, there's rumors of a certain liquid era or a certain age. Everybody talks about the liquid age. If you've been watching PUBG esports, you really know that this is kind of where fans, or not fans, but let's say pundits of the scene tend to slide towards. But there's a lot of teams that actually have this chance to show themselves, to prove themselves, and none of the teams that came in here, as you mentioned, came in here through, batting their pretty eyes. It was indeed a tough competition, so I think it's anybody's game at this point, but yeah, maybe I'd slightly put my money towards Liquid.
Thoughts?
I mean, honestly, we can't deny that Liquid has some of the best players in the world, mechanically skilled, but also strategically. They've been in the scene since the beginning, and you have a guy that he plays TPP, but if you ask him, Divisa, he's going to say, I love TPP. Because he's coming from a game where he invested thousands of hours in TPP, in the third person, and he just loves it. So I think he's going to shine even more here in TPP compared to FPP.
I think something a lot of people are looking out for as well, whilst we're, again, just here in the pre-show, kind of speaking through our thoughts here, kind of muddling through what we expect to see from the tournament, is a clash of Europe going up against Korea, right? I think a lot of people want to see that. We've seen it a few times. We saw it at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, but not much more than kind of around that bubble. Since then, it seems like a lot of experts feel that the Korean region has propelled themselves in terms of skill. So what do you think about how they're going to be able to fare in that Europe versus Korea battle?
I mean, honestly, I know for a fact that Korea, they train a lot. They play a lot more than Europe does. I think with the amount of months leading from, Katowice and everything, I think coming into here, they have much more hours in competitive play leading into this. Some of the bots we see, they do fantastic. I personally, I have one of them in my top 5 for this tournament, both for TPP and for FPP.
Well, gentlemen, overall, we're going to take a look at how the tournament shapes up here, as there's a lot to break down, of course, as we do have those 20 teams that are going to be going up against one another across the next 2 days, then one break, then, of course, those 2 days. That break, of course, we're going to have a lot of cool show matches. So let's start with the schedule and format, of course, as we have 5 days of games here in July to break on down. 25th and 26th will be that TPP, and then 29th and 28th, of course, I'm going to go backwards on that one, we have FPP as well. Each of those days, we're going to be playing 4 rounds of games, and all of these teams will be competing against one another on mostly Erangel. We're going to have a little bit of Miramar sprinkled in there as well. Here's how the point system breaks down, though, because this is all important. First place bags themselves 500 points, and it will go on down from there, and then from that point on as well, kills are very important because you get 15 points per kill, the same way it's been structured throughout all of our tournaments leading up to PGI here 2018 in Berlin. And of course, how did all of these teams get here? Via regional qualifiers. We started in Europe with Team Liquid, WTSG, and Knight, Team Gates, Ghost, and of course, we had our other teams being able to prevail through here with Asia, CIS, and then we moved on to Korea. Going on further, there's a lot of stuff to cover. We had our Chinese region in OMG and 4AM. We had both of our Crest teams being able to prevail from Japan. We had Savage, then we had Chiefs, and finally OHE were able to take a spot as well. So all in all, 20 teams, fantastic teams from across the world, being able to compete for the total of $2 million. We will have $1 million worth of that prize pool in FPP and $1 million in TPP as well. So that all breaks down in that prize pool, but of course we will have MVPs throughout those days as well that will take away the $10,000 after all is said and done each day. And overall, Avenger, that's a lot of money on the line for these teams that have earned it after there's been, again, thousands of teams vying for position here.
I mean, on top of that, they also won money in the qualifiers, but coming here guaranteeing them further money. But the MVP, $10,000. Honestly, that's 4 times the amount if you get below 16. That's a lot of money.
James is going to go with a lot of money at the end of the day.
James could be going with a lot of money, or he could be a good guy and share it, because MVP is the player with the most skills at the end of the day.
Right.
Not for the team, for the player. So they can be very team friendly and share, or they could just take it all for themselves and buy a new car.
Probably the latter. Yeah, of course, the MVP addition here to this tournament does mean that you do get to pocket a lot of money. We are seeing a lot of examples of people who could be on that rank list, on that MVP list, of course. We're looking at Team, of course, but we got people from WTSG. Even Larson, as the IGL, is able to frag out of his mind, even at the helm of his own team. So we have a lot of teams that can perform well. Of course, you got Na'Vi, the entire lineup made of complete and utter decimating shooters. I think the MVP is not going to go just to one person in the old days. I was just, it's more of a joke that James is going to get it. I think he will get it in one day, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of these players respect each other so much to the point where they understand that this team effort to be able to get them to that spot is going to be very, very important indeed. Let's talk about some of these teams a little bit more in detail before we really kind of launch into what is going to be our opening ceremony as well as our free game, which you do not want to miss. Stick around for the opening ceremony as well as all these phenomenal games, which mean a whole lot, as there's only 8 matches for TPP and then 8 matches for the FPP. Gentlemen, we're going to start with Navi. You mentioned them just before. How have you seen Navi coming into this tournament? A lot of experts, once again, pundits, etc., have been touting them as one of the favorites of the entire thing.
Absolutely. If you ask Russia, they're going to be the ones winning PGI in DPP and FPP, of course. But if you ask the whole world, they might be in the top 5 somewhere well enough.
Yeah.
They're one of the most powerful teams indeed, not only in the CIS region, but in Europe altogether, and in the world, you might consider that as well. They have a very, very good playstyle. They're a sweeping team as we know it. They like to play center as well, but they would play on the edge as well, no problem whatsoever. And during mid-game and late game, they will sweep around the circle, making sure that no other team is around them. And that high number of kills, combined with the way they fight in there, is surely going to see them through that top 5.
I mean, honestly, Na'Vi, I have said it multiple times, Iba, one of the best players in the world. He's of course here as well, but they do have a sub with them. They are missing one of their most insane fraggers, Shade, because he's underage. But up until now, they have had the southwestern part of the map for themselves. They've had Primorsk for themselves. They're probably going to be dropping Primorsk again. Yeah. But what they're not used to is, they're not used to having anybody ferry here. They're not used to having anybody west coast. And they're not used to having anybody in the southwestern guard carrier, and there's actually a bunch of teams looting on the western side, closing the ferry pier, so they're going to be kind of locked in that. They usually have a free rotation on the west coast. If we have a western circle, they have a free rotation towards the ferry pier where they can get all the cars. So they could get caught out on rotation unless they're prepared for that.
Right. I'm looking forward to the potential of those Western circles. After watching them during the qualifiers, if we get a Western circle, I know exactly where they're going. They like their very specific compounds, which of course we may end up seeing during this tournament. Let's move on, of course. Another team from the CIS region, Vanguard. Almost 2 of their members were not here. However, visa issues were quelled. They were put out, doused with a fire extinguisher, and they actually have their full roster here, so they're very excited to get playing.
I mean, I heard that they had talks with ministers of their country to make sure that the visas came through.
Nice.
And they were prepared. I mean, they brought the 2 spare players. They brought a player from Vegas Squadron, 54th was here as a backup in case they didn't make it. But they came here Monday, talked to Maminho and Keen. They're extremely excited to be here. Obviously, they've been struggling with this for 2 weeks, but Avanga, as a team, North George, they're going to be going there. And I like to call, when we see the Northwestern circles, I'm just calling an Avanga circle immediately because they do play so good out of those. And honestly, for me here for TPP, they've been playing that a lot as well. Everybody's been playing TPP until, the FPP came into the later stages of autumn 2017. Right. But I think they're going to be doing very well, maybe even better than Na'Vi in TPP.
I want to ask you, actually, Boogie, about another team here, as we've got a lot to kind of cycle through, of course. WTSG is another team that we actually see up towards Georgia Paul, but in a slightly different area of Georgia Paul, of course. What do you think about their prospects coming in from the Europe region?
I think they have even better chances than the 2 teams that we mentioned before. They got 110 kills coming into the qualifiers here, which they tie up actually with Na'Vi that we were mentioning earlier. So an insane number of frags. They're really, really good, really tactical team. They're very, very smart in their fights, but they will take fights if they have to. And with that in mind, they also have an easier rotations towards Eastern circles because they're going to have to go through Genji, of course, but that's one team that they have to go through, and they're going to have a Vanguard at the backs. When you consider their transition from that side, they can plow up towards the northern end and then kind of go south whenever they're going to have an easternly approaching circle. So with pathing, they have an even better chance with the same insane amount of fraggers, I think.
Well, I mean, on top of that, they also have a team that contests them. They openly stated,
they do.
We're going to contest you.
Oh, yeah.
Genji, Black, they're going to be coming for them, and they're going to be closing them, and we saw them before. They actually got pushed out in previous tournaments where they were there.
Yeah.
So, very interesting first match. We're going to see something happening in the South Georgia area for
Well,
sure.
we've heard a lot about that when it comes to our Korean teams and their drop points, of course, and we can talk about drop clashes in a moment, but both of our Korean teams, in Genji Gold and Genji Black, have stated in interviews, if you come to our drop point, we are going to kill you. You are not getting out of there. So it looks like our Korean teams are not going to be giving up their drop points, be it Novo, be it South George, and Genji Gold right now is a team that we have to look out for, because right now in the Korean region, they look powerful.
They look extremely powerful. What I'm kind of excited to see from them, they're going to be eluding Novo. We expect them to loot Novo. That's what they're doing. Honey Badger Nation also loots Novo, but nobody's military. So what I'm expecting to see is Honey Badger Nation going to military, because I'm 100% certain that Genji Gold is going to stay in the Novo area. We haven't seen so much military struggles, so I'm kind of afraid if they're ready to be bridge camp. We've seen that multiple times. We're going to be seeing teams coming in the farm area and in the military area, and if we have teams that are hungry for kills, because kills are important, it's 15 points per kill. You get 0 for 20th. So if you destroy a whole team, you secure yourself 65 points immediately. But what I'm kind of afraid to see, if they're prepared to the rotations, are they going to rotate early, are they going to rotate slow? But they're extremely powerful. They've got amazing shooters in their team, but we'll see what's going to happen in the first games. Again, contested drop point potentially.
And Genji Black is another team that will probably be contesting, and we actually, way back at Intel Extreme Masters Katowice, when Genji Black was called KSV No Title, we saw that dynamic of them pushing out teams, or at least Penguin back then, from South George, who then had to kind of retreat down to a hospital area to try and loot. And I think we're probably going to be seeing that again. Fair to say?
Yeah, it is a fair statement indeed. Both of the teams seem to be very, very keen on not leaving their looting grounds. And of course, none of them want to repeat the Katowice experience either. This time on the line, though, there's much, much more money to be earned. So I think they're going to have to come to some gentleman's agreement to where they're going to be drawing a line and saying, okay, this is my loot spot, this is yours. Because even if they lose one player each at the start of the round, that's actually very, very decimating in the later game. It shows, statistically speaking, that if you keep a full squad towards the third circle, you have much higher chances of actually getting a chicken dinner rather than if you have lost even one player. So for both these teams, WTSG and Genji Black, it's going to be super important to draw that line and try and play a bit friendly.
We've got a lot of teams to talk about, of course, too much, in fact, to talk about here in our pre-show overall. We'll be able to cover a lot of the other teams as the games come along. We can briefly talk about North America as well, of course. They've got themselves Team Gates, they've got Team Honey Badger Nation, even I should say, and Ghost Gaming, one of the bigger names from that region that was able to qualify through in second place. But Team Gates is a team that I didn't really fully expect to be able to get here, but they managed to make it work in the American qualifier.
They managed to make it work, but what we also saw in the American qualifier, we saw 11 different teams win out of the 12 rounds. So we also saw very disappointing performance for some of the teams that are kind of expected to go through. Gates, they put themselves in a position, they were very good at pushing center in first and second zones, so they ended up getting a lot of endgame zones because they were that center, guaranteeing themselves, third, even fourth circle, and making sure they could get kills. But also, when they had to salvage, they went into salvage mode, and they were able to snake into the later stages with 1 or 2 guys alive. So their adaptability and they were just able to be in the later stages all the time, which guaranteed them their place here.
Yeah, absolutely. Team Gates are one of those ragtag team of not very superheroes. They kind of make their way towards the final circles by being a bit more, let's say, a bit more passive. We don't see them pop up on the kill feed, most of the time. But then again, they do play a very tactically smart game, and I think that's the way indeed that they have made it, by making sure they're in the very center of the circle. And I think Honey Badger Nation, another team that qualified in A, is going to be doing the same exact thing. Whether they're going to be looting military or not, they're probably going to rotate the earliest into the first circle, and of course with some circle centralization, that's going to be a very good factor for them.
And you mentioned Honey Badger Nation, of course. I feel like for them, I don't think they'd be here without the start
star plays of Wick. When he was able to not only, I think, aside from all the grenades, aside from the Kobe's left, right, and center with 7 grenades at the end, even his path there, taking out 2 members of Totality during that round to then eventually get into that spot was very powerful. So Honey Badger Nation here looking to alleviate some of the stress on maybe Wick's shoulders here and push on forwards as a full team and do well.
I mean, hopefully, they stole Wick from me. I was supposed to play with him in my mixed team in the future, right?
I'm sorry.
Teams or with somebody that you can prove yourself in qualifiers, and he did exactly that. So he's by far our star player. He got nearly half the kills on that team in that qualifier. And when they lost all their 4 players, he was able to salvage the round. He was able to sneak in. We also saw it in that round, 10 kills. It's just amazing. So I'm expecting big stuff from him, but also from the team. They have been working to get here. I've seen some very motivating tweets from the guys. They really want to make this happen. So I'm really looking forward to see if they are able to do that.
Yeah, for sure. But then again, at the end of the day, this game is a team game as well.
Absolutely.
So, MVPs or superstar players, they're a fickle friend. If they're not performing, if they're having a bad day, then you really can't just say that your team did badly. They're going to have to pick up the slack, of course, and pick it up with Wick and not only get to his space, but outdone him so that, they can all reach a very, very good point. Because this is not going to be any qualifiers whatsoever. This is going to be such a frantic playstyle, especially with their looting grounds. You're going to have a lot of enemies.
And teams like, from the smaller regions, of course, teams like Chiefs coming in from Australia as well. I got to watch a lot of their games through. They got in some of their wins, of course. Very heavy help from the circle. But the most important point when you look at a team like Chiefs is that they're able to establish themselves in that center position. Of course, I think something that we should elaborate on as well is the fact that 2 main strategies kind of hold true in this game, being center play or edge play, right, Adventure?
I mean, edge play, of course, when you have a lot of teams, we're going to see a lot of teams go center. We're going to see a lot of teams go center, especially in second. Second circle is going to be rushed because in that position, it's just so important to have a center position because then the later circles, they're so much bigger, so they basically guarantee you to be in 3rd and sometimes even 4th if you have the very center.
All right, gentlemen, well, thank you very much. I'll check in with you in just a few moments' time as we're going to head over to Frankie, who has plenty more festivities coming our way here from PGI 2018.
Hello everyone, I'm Frankie and I am here in the Mercedes-Benz Arena and I'm going to be reporting from the various zones we have here for you guys who are visiting PGI in person. And today we are at the War Mode Zone. Now if you haven't played War Mode yet, it's the perfect way to test the waters with PUBG because it's a deathmatch where you actually get to respawn. No permadeath. No working at it really hard for half an hour like I do and then taking yourself out by pressing F too early when you're in a moving vehicle. Just me then, okay. So during this week, we're going to have influencers such as Wacky Jackie 101, who's going to be here today, Moondie7, one of my personal favorites, and a whole host of other streamers playing here. And you guys, if you're here in your queue, you might get to play against them. And if you win, you get a PGI hoodie. And when I say win, you have to get the best score of the day. But one of my favorite things about our setup here is we've got the sporty skins, okay? We're all familiar with the sporty skins. We've been seeing everyone trying to get codes for these online. It's been a bloodbath on Twitter. But did you know that you can use the sporty skin crop top on the boys as well as the ladies? I think I've actually walked past my favorite gentleman. I think he's at the other end. So if you want to see what he looks like and you've got the sporty skin, why don't you equip it at home? Or you can come and visit us here at the War Mode and try your luck. These are 7-minute matches, so it's perfect to come and check out if we're between matches out there. Now, I'm actually going to be making some people very happy today because between the rounds, I'm going to be doing a prize draw. Everyone who comes to the Mercedes-Benz Arena today will get a program with a code on it, and I will be reading out the numbers on those programs to make 20 people per round very, very happy indeed. They will be getting swag. Now, the reason it's a bit quiet behind me is because we're soon going to our opening ceremony, and it is a thing of beauty. You've never seen anything like this before in esports, and that's why everyone's run to take their seats, apart from this gentleman over here. Come over here, sir. Hello. What's your name?
My name is Dmitry.
Dmitry, and who are you supporting today?
I'm very stupid. I don't understand English.
Are you Navi, Avangar? Navi, and why do you love Navi?
Because there was the best in Counter-Strike Global Offensive.
This is. I'm so sorry to break this to you, but this is not Counter-Strike today. This is PUBG.
I know.
This is hashtag. This is Berlin Royale. So you're a fan of the organisation itself.
It's very nice. It's really very nice.
Well, I'm going to let you go in. Navi are definitely one of the hot favourites to win. The microphone's not on you, but I'm glad you like Turtles. Go inside, watch the boys play. I think Navi are going to do really well. You're going to have a treat. Thank you very much. Enjoy the show. I will be trying to talk to our audience members during the week because we don't have an opening ceremony again, so there'll probably be more people around. In fact, I'm trying to grab some people right now. Sir in the white, come over here. Come and talk to me. Hello, where are you from?
From Berlin, from here.
Oh, so are you an EU boy? You're supporting, say, Team Liquid, WTSG, Pittsburgh Knights?
Honestly, I don't know a lot about the teams here. I'm only here because of a friend. He said, yeah, you need to come with me. And yeah, that's why I'm here.
Do you play PUBG?
Actually, no. I saw a lot of videos, so I know what's about and everything. It's quite interesting.
Well, you're in for a treat, my friend, and if you do want to try PUBG, you've come to the right place. This is the war mode zone, so you could actually have a go at a deathmatch. You could play later on. Okay, so maybe we'll have a game. We'll duo up.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a game. Yeah.
Okay, my name's Frankie. I'll see you later. It's a date. Now, ladies and gents at home, do make sure you try out War Mode for yourself and let us know how you're reacting to today's events using the hashtag This is Berlin Royale. See what they did there. And of course, hashtag PGI 2018. I can hear in my ear that I think we are nearly ready to go to the countdown for the opening ceremony. So I will see everyone at the Berlin Arena later on in the show and you guys at home tomorrow.
มาดูตำแหน่งคลานมาลุกอะไรมาจริงแล้วก็แมนด็อกครับผมทีมด็อกครับได้แชมป์ไปในเกมแรกนี้
เก็บไปครับยักษ์ยิงต่อครับด่านนี้ยังไง2 3อีก1ไปโคลเซียแล้วระเบิดเขาเจนเราเกมมิ่งครับน็อตเก็บซับได้
ฮอนเองก็โดนด้วยครับเมื่อกี้ครับใช่ครับ
นัดเดียว
SKS ครับผมแล้วเก็บไปเลยครับใน1นัดครับหัวครับของนั้นเห็นแล้วยิงสบายเน้นเรียบร้อย2 ศพครับผมเนี่ยครับ
เฮียดาไปครับผม
โอ้โห
อ้อมครับผม
ถือว่าสวยครับธนวัฒน์มาช่วยยิงครับจากนั้นนี่ธนวัฒน์เก็บได้ไหมครับแล้วนี่แล้วเก็บได้ครับโซวินเจอครับตอนนี้ยิงสู้ได้ไป1ครับผมยิงเก็บไปเลยสวินครับเอาไงต่อครับด้านบนมีโคโลปิโนไม่ง่ายเหมือนกันครับปิโนถือว่าแม่นนะตอนนี้
靠近 FTD 的警觉性够吗？正面跑过来被击倒了一个，而且有可能再被击倒一个。
好，这边小题目又立功了，打到天选。位置可对。
耳听到声音了，摩洛瑟生效了，这边打了一个。
左手边不远处被孤城看到，直接是打倒了小组。
哇，站起来补子弹，但这时候又打倒了第9，反而是有机会。
位置非常逼近了，这边的话一波点射。
看看闪电一个炸雷吗？这是没有注意到这个什么啊？补烟雾弹，这是这一下，哎呦 ，BT 赶了过来，
非常漂亮。除非等一下圈缩在了下面的防区。
对 ，OMG 这边并没有盲目的移动。没错，还是在原地。水娃这边还是被驱魔川打掉，这样的话就更加锁定了队友的位置。
啊，最后所有人都
看厕所，
看到远端的人了。哎，这里，
但是这边的话开枪了，发现好的，
恭喜各位！
一波全自动打头，把烤人压了回去，搜搜被瞬间放倒，击倒。这家有车被打炸。虽然小兵在圈内，但是没有能够抵挡顾屯的最后一枪。恭喜 4AM！
Уезжает оттуда Дренис, попадает.
Сок не получает урон. Юзер, насколько жестко, что вы творите, парни?
Треха, просто Треха лежит и стреляет. Это стреляющая трава. Ребят, что творит Треха?
Это будет развязка.
Может ли Оник? Пошел Оник, у Оника нет вариантов. Оника зажимает и есть попадание.
Нави, друзья, Нави тащит. Отличная игра, отличная катка.
Ужасный старт.
Сковородочкой.
Еще и сковородочкой. Сейчас сматываться, потому что очень мало хп также остается. Нокнутый Зика. Тачка горит, можно ее взорвать. Сейчас получится ли? Да!
Сейчас ката. У Авангара. Каешечка, я вижу уже.
В Тиму прилетает. И минус Авангар от Фарзон.
Приехали, что? Они просто вообще. У Круга была стратегия, и он ее придерживает.
Дроп до винсайд бывает.
Дроп до винсайд, друзья.
Оу, магистр, посмотри. У Дрениса проблемы, остается всего лишь один лейм. Не жить лейму здесь никак. Как бы он ни пытался, фарзы забирают себе.
Zera. Oh, he wants a little bit of revenge there. The circle.
And he's playing for it.
It's a method circle once again. And Fuzzbase gets himself another.
Look at this. He's got a perfect beat on 2 different points. If they push at the same time, maybe they can get him. But they're coming out in different syncs. They're just waiting there. A nice spray from Celos. Turns back. Gets another one. That's 2 already down. Gonna go for the 3rd one. That's gonna put all
names right now. Morman gets a peek around the side. Will managed to find the head. Gets a really smart approach. He does spot 1. He might spot 2. He's going to take his time. This is so nice. Please tell me he's got the aim to back this up, and he does it! He's going to spoil what we do. Oh, the points actually, this is perfect for Rose.
It's an earlier on the back cross.
I can't see how even. Oh, that's a shot. Look at the range he's playing on. Oh, jeez! That's
even weaker. Bulls flips the bike. Unfortunately, he goes.
Kick the ball back. That's horrible. Atlantis. Oh, the 180 turn.
みたいな感じでね、はい、とどめを刺しに行くようなプレーがありましたが、やはりこの交渉とリベンジ、おっと右に迂回してクリムダインを落として2人目、2ダウン入ってる様子がかかる。キルロが並ぶのはペンタグラムリバイブ、クラス1の皆さんを一掃しました。さあドンカツを取った文明がショットガン、カイヤ上から勝負、アサルトライフどっちが取る、ショットガンが取ったソロモンホワイトチェック。うわこれ最高のグレネード、もしかして天井に当たって、これは部屋の横もう一個横が、うわ取るんだ、やめてルイ TV それだけはやめて、グレネード車両が火炎瓶、さあそこからスモーキーが詰めてくる、それはやめてくれ、スモーキーひどすぎる、ひどすぎる。いや、使い方がうまい。モンスターがここで横より入れていく。しかしながらワンオフ。さあ、ドンカツを取ったら目の前の PRG フェアリー1名ダウン、ダウン取って上2名が2ダウン。一旦回復。キノコに隠れて南側から狙っていく、ダウンを取りしてきた吹き六選手ですが絶対絶命。吹き六、さあ頭見える、完全に挟まれている。これは苦しいか。ドンカツを取ったのは
잡으면서 갈 생각이에요 이거. 잡으면서.
자, 싸움을 계속 걸어주고 있는 모습이고 인디고. 자, 잡기가 밀리고 있는 또
이거 안 쏘는데 저기지.
와, 그 두 명을 상대로 눕히고 총으로 한 명 눕히냐? 그렇죠.
태민아 살아있고요.
저기 있길 바라는 거죠. 고수지 아니면 가져가야 돼. 골드. 이거는요. 그리고 사도도 가능성이 2대1. 길다 쫓아 살리는 중. 그렇죠. 2명 기절. 아, 그냥 기록고요. 영광스러운 죽음을 맞이할 수 있습니다. 오피. 자, 보면 오피지 레인저스. 우릴 수 있었다. 이게 뭐? 긴장한 고춧가루. 1대1.
哇，我在想，
跟你说声晚安，打一。
说这个转角。
Oh my god, Rifan adalah tim pertama yang keluar.李国对枪，哇！突然过来，大哥还跑掉。大哥上了，看这个角度对枪，哇！老弟！
Может ее взорвать, сейчас получится залить. Не может сейчас что сделать, это успевает адреналин забивается, я вот в спине.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to PGI 2018 as we are almost ready to get going. We just need a few more moments here whilst we get the arena full and everyone joins us before the opening ceremony of this festivities as we get things running along. Gentlemen, to my left-hand side, once again joined by Boogie and Avenger, of course. We're going to take a bit more time just talking about what we expect coming into this tournament, who we think is going to be able to do well, who it might have a little bit of a troubling time, who knows. But regardless of that fact, we still have a lot of teams that we did not get a chance to talk about. One of those teams is Knights, who, for me, almost captain consistent when it comes to how they're able to play out the game, Boogie, and perform in the European qualifier.
Absolutely, and it wasn't always that case. The Pittsburgh Knights always had a bit of a rocky kind of climb to get to where they are today. But with the addition of Texas, I feel like the game has solidified a lot. They used to be a very hot showing up team. Remember in the old days of Awesome, they used to either turn up and be at the very top or be at the very bottom as well. But since then, they kind of tightened up their timings. They've tightened up their pathing. They've learned how to cross into circles, into a more safer approach. They're still a bit of a brawler team. They will put up a good fight. Yeah. But this time around, they do it a bit more smart. And that's why they're here at PGI.
Well, especially since that incorporation of someone like Texas, right? Who I feel like whenever we get to watch him, he loves those fights, Avenger.
He loves those fights, and he also calls himself a top fragger. But we gotta be real. He was a top fragger at multiple tournaments. Also, he's the only person that have qualified with 3 different teams to 3 different lands.
True.
Absolutely insane player. Another player who actually top fragged in the recent event in Las Vegas, Kramer.
Yeah.
The best left-handed player in the world, so he has his mouse in the left hand.
Oh, you've not seen me play, to be fair.
But you're not the best left-handed player in the world. He is, though. Another thing is with Knights. Knights, they are, I think they're also, another fun fact, I think they're the team with the highest kill game in competitive game. I think it was a 24 or 25 chicken dinner in Global Loot League. In 16 teams, of course. That's the highest I've ever seen.
You have to consider that that's 16 teams.
Yes, exactly. That's on top of that. On top of that, they have the most greedy loot area. They loot shelter, mansion, Lipovka, and prison. Yes. 1-1-1-1. Another thing that protects them as well, so if they get hot dropped, so say there's 4 people going Lipovka on top of them, they know that instantly, and they will have 3 persons. If they lose that 4th player, they will have 3 persons in 3 extremely strong loot areas. So they're a team that is extremely not volatile to being hot dropped. They can adapt extremely well, and they can just get so much loot because that is 4 like insane plays. You get shelter, prison, and mansion.
Does that give them good control over east side of the majority of Erangel?
Absolutely, but that not only gives them good control, is the fact that they're such good players individually as well. So even if they do get hot dropped and they might miss it, the clutch potential within them is actually quite huge for them to be able to defend themselves and stay 4-man strong.
Right.
But yes, indeed, on Eastern circles, you do have to mention that they do have prime spot. Wherever it lands mostly on the eastern side, whether it's up north towards Talbot, they will still have a good spot, or whether it's down towards Milta, they're still going to be doing pretty good. Them and Team Liquid are going to have the best kind of entrance into those circles.
I want to jump off the back of what you just mentioned with having wide loot areas, because I think we have a lot of teams that were able to prevail to come through into this tournament that do have those wide loot areas. Do you expect to see maybe a little bit of infighting on terms of the very edge of these loot areas, say if they may have an overlap onto some of the other teams encroaching position?
Actually, in the eastern side, I don't expect that because we haven't, some of these teams, we haven't seen them go, Sarki and Northshores. We haven't seen Stalba Kameski. We haven't seen Cerveny shooting range, which is also extremely strong. So there's open space, even though it's 20 teams and it's less space. It's still a lot of open spaces that could be taken from some of these teams. We've seen some of the teams go, we have 2 in the Gatka area, we have 2 in the farm split area. So a lot of these teams, they can go different areas. But one of the areas I expect to be contested is actually Lipovka. I think we're going to see changes between the games or between days, maybe even, that they see, okay, there's only one guy in Lipovka, because you can take Lipovka and then the compounds around it easily. And that's actually a decent spot compared to, sharing Gatka or sharing farm split.
Yeah, absolutely. Just making sure they have a bit of a better looting position is instrumental to how you go into the game. You are able to peek much wider, if you have a level 2 helmet and vest, than you would if you had, let's say, level 1 loot on you. So having good loot is super, super important. But then again, you know, having also a prime spot where you can loot is important, as Labaka is a bit further away on the map. So that also means that on rotations towards the western end, your pathing has to be very, very smart and your timing has to be impeccable so that you can actually penetrate the circle without actually getting shot.
One of the teams that actually does sometimes, very rarely and occasionally go over to that Kameshki area that you were mentioning before is a team like Chiefs, who usually is way over the other side of the map, but they have gone to places like Kameshki. And talk to us about that area, because in general, not many teams really like going up there, but again, you know, there is one that sometimes deviates up there.
I mean, Stalber Kameshki is an area where you get not that many cars if you go Stalber, and it's like a 50-50 hit or miss with Stalber. Either there's enough loot for 2 players, more than enough loot, and you can't get everything with you, or you're going to be kind of limping out with not enough loot as 1 player. Also, rotations from there are very slow. You know, you have to get down the mountain, and it's very far away from everything. But it doesn't really matter, actually, because in the first circle, which is the casual circle, is the 0.4, which is 4.5 kilometers wide in the first circle. It doesn't really matter that much in the first circle that you have a prime position. But, I mean, rotation from Stalber Kameshki, it's easy. You can go west. There's a long way all up until Cerveny, and all the way down to, you know, the Knights of the Puff Carry. So you have, you know, a big portion of the map to yourself that you can just take, you know, the trash compounds and everything. But there's less cars, it's hard rotations, and it's really a hit or miss with the loot. You can also send 2 guys to Kameshki, and you can again be limping out with, you know, a level 1 helmet, level 1 vest, and, you know, a UMP or not a ranged weapon at least.
And teams that have come out of other smaller regions, like the SEA region, for example, when you were talking about the trash looting tactics and just kind of going for small compounds and stuff, a team that really stood out for me when researching into a lot of these teams is Refund Gaming from that SEA region. Of course, them taking the 2nd seed over Myth Gaming, who took the 1st seed. They like Ferry Pier. They like a wide spread down there over by Ferry Pier and kind of the gas next to the eastern bridge, or western bridge even. Oh, there we go, a compass, there, it's fine. So overall though, they really spread themselves very far, Avenger, and that can be sometimes beneficial for them, or they can lose certain people very early.
I mean, with a split like, you know, Ferry, you take one Ferry Pier, you have one of the compound on the northern side of that, you have the Yellow's houses in that area, but you can also lock down that area. You can loot the gas station and the glass house, which we call it, on the other side, and you can just lock it down, because I think we're going to see teams coming from the military area, crossing that bridge, and then they can pick up a lot of loot coming from those guys. But with that, I actually personally I love that split. You have a lot of control. You can send 2 guys to Ferry Pier if you don't like sending them even further away. But they're very greedy, again, kind of like a Knights area. If you get a military, they can go there down fast if it's 100% guaranteed military, you know, with a very southern circle. But I like the position because their rotation is extremely easy, but they can also gatekeep Navi, which is probably going to be Primorsk. So greedy area, good loot compared to the position they have in the but I think it's a lot stronger that you taking a city, actually, because I like the widespread, I like that kind of new play style. I think that's why Knights do so well, because so consistent, because they have all the loot they need.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a very good point that you're bringing, the fact that Navi are going to be gate-kept potentially into a lot of situations here. We did talk a little bit earlier about that sort of problem, but wherever they go, they're going to be gate-kept. We know that Rogue was a team that usually, Rogue unfortunately didn't make it a great contender though. They usually gate-kept Navi a lot of times, but this time around, wherever they go, they're going to have a hard time entering any kind of circle that isn't Western. If they go north, they're going to have WTSG, they're going to have Gen G Black, of course, then further up north, they're going to have a Vanguard, should they choose to cross into North George territory. If they go towards Gadka, of course, they're going to have the Chiefs, they're going to have Xanadu staying in that looting position as well. Just to go straight west from their position into Primorsk, sorry, going east, they're going to have other 2 teams into that perspective. So it's very, very difficult in terms of pathing when you're looting that spot to cross the Ferry Pier teams, and I think those are going to be teams that are going to get a lot of frags.
What's important to note as well, whilst we speculate on these very common drop locations for a lot of these teams, we can almost take it with almost a pinch of salt. We believe that they're going to go there, and that's where they will normally go, but who knows what may have happened in the scrims before we got to this tournament, before leading up. When all of these teams got together, they were practicing in the same lobby. There may be changes there. Another team I want to highlight from the SEA region is made in Thailand, of course, Myth for short. they're a team that likes to go Rozhok, especially specifically East Rozhok, as there were other teams in their region that liked to take kind of Western Rozhok and some of the compounds over there. So what do you make for a team like Made in Thailand? What do you make for them? Jeez. But beyond that, how do you think that they're going to be able to fare here?
I mean, honestly, I don't think there's going to be anybody else than them going into Russia. They've been there for a long time. They're a long-standing roster.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to like quickly say as well is, in the scrims, they've seen there's open areas, so we're going to see some changes. We're going to see some of these guys that are in contested areas, whatever, go into other places. But Myth, they would definitely be staying in Russia, I think. I think they're going to be taking maybe one guy into Watertown as well, because that's not taken either. And again, a Watertown Ruins strat is not good. Like, we've seen multiple teams try it in the qualifiers. They're terrible. They don't get cars. They have a hard time rotating, and they rarely get circles where it's good enough for them to stay in a position where they can loot and then get it to it fast, because they have to go on foot. But I think they're going to be sending one guy into the Watertown area, and then maybe having a wide split on the east.
And actually, that's a really important point just in general, is in this 20-team meta compared to the 16-team meta, we see some teams trying to deviate the drop initially to find cars to then get to their spot, depending on where the plane's gone, of course. But some teams will deviate slightly to get those cars first, even though they're in range of their drop position, to know that they have control of the rotations later on.
Absolutely, and a prime example of that is actually Skoom from Team Liquid. Their normal looting grounds are Yasnaya Poliana. And of course, in Yasnaya, you don't have that many car spawns. So Skoom, before the actual looting starts, he will go to the S Street, just a bit southwest of Yasnaya, to try and find a vehicle first, and then he's going to rejoin his team. What a nice and caring man he is, and selfless in his actions. But indeed, when you're talking about vehicles, you have to mention indeed the 20-team situation that we have over here. There's going to be a lot of teams. Pathing becomes so much more difficult if you don't actually have a car, and it becomes that much more difficult when you're playing in TPP, in third-person mode, because players can see you without even having to show their character. So vehicles are going to be a very, very important element, and I think Rozhok, to be mentioned for Team Myth, is also going to be a prime spot, because you're in the middle of everything. You're sure to have some cars. There's about 4 or 5 almost certain car spawns. I think they're going to have an easier chance at rotations.
All right. Elephant in the room. Method's not here. Who's going Pachinki?
Well,
of course, it's going to be Ghost. They've been very vocal about it, and I think that's a valid strategy, saying on Twitter openly, making pictures, posting a wrangle, and then putting a very big logo of your team on Pachinki from the Western Front Bridge, going onto the yellow houses east of the Western Bridge. So they're going to be having teams all around them, so their rotations could be very hard.
Well, this is a really important point, because I make light of, Method's not here, who's going there, but actually Pachinki is a very important location in Erangel, right? Very central. You almost have a brilliant launch pad to go anywhere the circle may take you.
And you also have a good chance to gatekeep teams that are coming through what we call highways, what are normally trajectories that teams normally like to go through. Let's say north of Pachinki, there's a bit of a forest area that teams will often rotate through, so that they have somewhat of a safer kind of keep. But with Ghost Gaming, it's going to become that much more difficult when they're going to have to rotate to that position. And yes, indeed, having a prime spot like Pachinki, with those vehicles that you can get as well from the outside of town, you can get one from farm perhaps, maybe there's one in the garage in the middle, you're going to be guaranteed at least one vehicle. It's going to be up to Ghost though here to either gatekeep those teams, to either go for the crazy kills, or to put themselves in a prime spot. And I think the intelligent game that comes in from Ghost Gaming lately in the last few months, especially since they've been playing with the two EU guys, I think it's going to dictate more that they're going to try and center themselves first before trying to gatekeep teams out.
Another location that is usually a very hot topic is, of course, military. We kind of touched on it a little bit before, and what we expect at least is that Novo fight to kind of almost spill out into that area. Is that something that kind of holds true?
I mean, if military is open and you're used to going Novo, why wouldn't you just take military? So much stronger. Yes, there's not that much attachments because it's, much more guns related because of the military. But then again, if you're a team that are in Novo already, you have the strats ready. Because I mean, if you've been training for multiple months, where you're used to having an area where you rotate from, changing from Novo to military is not that difficult. You can do the same, and I don't think that we're going to see an Novo fight. I hope we're going to see an Novo fight. If they want to fight for it. But I think we're going to see a military fight, a military drop from Honey Badger Nation.
Gentlemen, the countdown has begun. Final thoughts before we get into it.
It's going to be an absolutely fantastic competition. It is no joke that these teams are here. They're here through great valor and great effort. it's going to be absolutely amazing.
I mean, I've been waiting 2.5 months for this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, leading into this, I've just been extremely excited. So happy to be here, happy to see what these teams are able to bring.
Let's go.
Playing in the game, that countdown is very familiar to you, ladies and gentlemen. A huge thank you for joining us here in the Mercedes-Benz Arena. A huge thank you to joining us around the world as well. 20 seconds remain before we have the opening ceremony here live from Berlin, and you do not want to miss this. We have 20 teams. We have $2 million on the line as we get ready for PGI 2018.
Не можете третий все сделать, это двоих играет, ситуация, он в спине, и он убивает! On the flank already, gets a little angle, and he comes in with the red dot. That's the headshot!
机会来了，这边的话打掉最后的蛮仔。虽然小兵在圈内，但是没有能够抵挡顾屯的最后一枪。
โดนหมอกด้วยแล้วก็เป็นหมอกที่จะกลายเป็นหน้าวันไปใช้เป็นของรีฟันครับในเกมสุดท้ายนี้
Andrew's pushing up for the flank, and Waikiki is looking for the revive. Never mind, he's going to get sprayed down in!
Rajatoro derruba, Agnar pega dois, e o Lopix! We've got another one! Person after person, he's seen the market, oh my god!
Guten Abend, Berlin. I'm Player Unknown, and it's my absolute honor to be here tonight to welcome you all here in the arena and everyone watching at home to the inaugural PUBG Global Invitational. This is a dream come true for me, and I can't wait to watch some of the best PUBG players in the world fight it out to be crowned global champions. So without further ado, let's get on to the battlegrounds.
That's right, the final circle has fallen here as we get ready for Berlin PGI 2018. All of these 20 teams have a championship caliber, and they're going to be fighting for the prize as well as the glory here, and to be called a world champion after they've been so victorious in their own regions. My name's Kyle Laris. I'm going to be your host throughout the next few days, and to my left-hand side, the dynamic duo as we get things going here. We have Boogie and we have Avenger standing ready to attention, ready to break down all of these games that we're going to have unfold. What's important, of course, is that we're going to be going into our first game here in just a few moments' time, and I want to get your thoughts and pick your brains a little bit as to what we may see. Of course, we talked about contested drop points here between these teams sat behind us getting ready to go right now. Is that something that could become a factor here at the very beginning, especially since we don't have that many rounds to be able to figure things out truly?
As you said, we don't have that many rounds, which is a huge factor. Yeah. If we have contested drop points and they lose, one game, they have to consider what are they going to do next game, because you only have 7 more games to make up for it. Usually there's a few more, but you really have to consider if you're contested, if they've been contested in scrims, consider going somewhere else, or really fight for it the first game and make sure that you win, because you need to push them out.
Exactly, and that's the point of having scrims before the game days as well. It's those test plays when teams kind of decide where they're going to be going to drop. Of course, beforehand, we usually have in the PUBG scene, and of course I'm catering to the newer audience that doesn't know necessarily that much about how PUBG sports work. We have teams going to certain loot locations at the start of the game, as you well know the game. But sometimes there are going to be 2 teams that are going to be going for that same spot, right? So that's why we have contested drops. And that's why we have those very, very important scrims where they decide what team is going to be going where. Because as you guys called it, in 8 games is not going to be enough time for you to fight it off. And losing one member early on is actually very decimating.
I think most important thing, though, is as much as 8 games might be a short amount of time, it really comes down to who is going to be able to adapt in a quick period of time, in a short period of time here against them. We've seen things like this before in previous tournaments. IEM Katowice stands out very strongly, where LGD slowly encroach on FaZe's area and then eventually push them completely out of military power.
I mean, that is also a huge thing, because that's so important, because you don't want to take a fight. Right, and if FaZe knows that, they knew that, and also this is the first time these teams play against each other. So we're gonna see teams that have been playing their routes, have been playing their areas. If you play Yasnai, you've been playing Yasnai for the last half year, you know exactly where to play, you know exactly where to rotate, you know exactly down to the last second where you're looting, how fast it's going, when you need to rotate. And that's why they're keeping their areas, and they're kind of trying to innovate their drops and change strats from tournament to tournament, but also they want to keep those spots because they have they're perfected, their rotations, their drops, everything, which is so important that also they will not fight for it.
I want to talk to you guys about current gun meta. How do you see it at the moment? I know we're seeing a lot of machine guns and sprinklings of DMR and slight sniper rifle attacks beyond that. How do you feel the meta is currently for gun selection, to be able to go from earlier circles into later circles, etc.? What do you think?
It depends a lot on the role that you're playing, because in PUBG, of course, as in any other esports, every kind of player on a team will have a certain role. For the support player, it doesn't necessarily matter much, but it is also imperative that he is able to come in and get kills with the least favorite weapon. Let's say if the main fragger is accustomed to the Scar, for an example, then the support player is going to have to give his Scar to the main fragger, and then he's going to have to play with perhaps the UMP that he's donated back from the actual fragger. Now, the SMGs are a powerful tool nowadays, of course, with the latest addition in the bullet velocity and, of course, the bullet damage. The SMGs have become more powerful, the DMRs have become that much more powerful, but then again, for DMRs, you're going to need scopes. So for teams that go, as you have mentioned, military zone, they're not going to have that scope. So for them, I think rifles are going to be the more powerful meta.
I think we're at a point where we are extremely well balanced across all the guns, but you have a preferred gun you play, and there's not. In the previous patch we saw the M4 meta. Everybody played M4. You could even play 2 M4s, put a 4X on 8X on it, and then have another one with a red dot or holo on it for short range. But here we're actually seeing teams go with vectors for close range, scars and force preferred, whatever, but it also comes down to loot, because again, 20 teams, not much loot, and also you need to rotate early. We're going to see extremely early rotations coming out, coming in with a level 1 helmet and a 1 vest, 60 bullets on a UMP and a pistol, that's it. They're going to be moving because they want that center location so early, because it's close to them or they have a good path to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Feels very important to claim your locations, especially when it comes to what compounds you want to set up in. In this 20-team meta right now, if you get a good compound that you think is going to eventually shift towards top or central, you're sitting pretty there.
Absolutely, and some teams actually still value the scout meta, so to speak. Some teams will keep on looting and send one guy, perhaps with the faster vehicle that they have acquired at the moment in time, preferably of course a motorcycle, to take the most powerful circle in the middle of the circle. And that guy is basically has to play the role of a pufferfish, so to speak. He will have to shoot both his guns if people come towards him. If he sees enemies coming in, he will have to shoot both his weapons to try and pretend that there are more players in that compound that are ready to defend. Of course, players know about this, and they will sometimes scout around, circle a few times around the block, see that there's only one guy, and then crash and burn pretty much the guys that stand inside.
And aside from the scout meta, we've seen a lot of kind of teams change, well, not necessarily change, they've kind of used this for a long time, which is the 2-2 split in, say, the kind of mid-circles, especially to then control larger sets of area and then be able to potentially have safe spots in different locations to then move to where the circle may shift.
I think that's why we see Liquid do so good. They send, James Ibiza off to a very early rotation, 2-seater bike, 2 guys on the same bike, put themselves in a position where they know they can not just hold it down if it's a good position in the next circles, but also transition to and from. So they have a big area to scout. If it goes west, they usually go on the Harry Potter Tower west of Gatka. A perfect transition. Right. That's where you usually overtake. And if there's only one guy there, they just take it because they're 2 versus 1 with stronger loot and possibly also more mechanically skilled.
Yeah, that's a very powerful point to be in that actual, the tower that you mentioned. We've seen Larson actually clutch it in a very tremendous play. I think it was GLL about 4 months ago that he was playing in. Really, really great clutch by Larson in that specific place. But yes, indeed, I do agree that 2+2s are powerful. And talking about Larson, WTSG actually have, I think, in my opinion, the smartest 2+2 rotations out there.
Okay.
They know how to defend, they know how far to stay away from each other, and they always have line of sight, which is indeed one of the key elements of doing a 2+2, because you don't want to put 2 people on one edge of the circle and then 2 people on the other edge. They won't be able to support each other, neither with information, neither with firepower. So these 2+2 have to be played smart.
Definitely, and of course we've seen a lot of teams, once they drop in a certain location and a circle will pop, be it west, be it east, be it wherever, they like their own set compounds. The places that they go time after time after time. We see that through a lot of teams today.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, again, I want to go back to, this is the first time these teams play against each other. I'm 100% sure that these teams are not 100% prepared for where every team goes in the set circle. Say we just put 6 circles across the map, then they know exactly what compounds are taking, but 19 other teams, that's not going to happen. So we're going to see clashes on compounds that we don't usually see. We're going to see clashes in rotations where they're going to be camped on rotation paths. We talked about north of Pachinki, huge transition path to the west and the east for teams coming there.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to see breaches in compounds, which you don't usually see. We're going to see contests in compounds where, because again, you have perfected a playthrough. You want to go to a location where you transition to and from, but you also want to hold it down. Yeah. So you want to go there again, and they're probably also prepared for, okay, if somebody there, what's the next step for it?
Yeah, absolutely. The good part about these qualifiers is the fact that all these teams now have something to research on the other teams. And mind you, apart from playing, for sure they're going to be, they have done their research, especially the coaches. They're going to know, okay, this compound is definitely going to be taken by one of the teams. We know that they love to play here, so we will try to avoid it. Some of the teams have a higher adaptability, but of course all the teams have a preferred kind of compound to play in certain circles. However, I think some teams will perform a bit better. I'm thinking Liquid here specifically. They're pretty much good to go wherever you set them up, whether it's a hillside, whether it's a certain compound that you put them in. They're very good with new elements. They know how to work as a team. I feel like the communication in that team is down to a tad. So I think they're going to be shining through, even if some of the other teams are going to be getting the prime locations, so to speak. I think they're going to be doing pretty well wherever they sit.
Yeah, I want to ask you guys about how you approach a game number 1 in a tournament setting like this, because obviously we're on a huge stage here. Pressure could very easily be on for a lot of these teams that may not necessarily have been in this massive arena before in a LAN setting. In fact, not many of them at all have been in this kind of setting, because this is basically the first time here truly for PUBG in an arena quite like this. How do you approach the first game? Do you approach it a little bit more cautious than you normally would, especially against some teams that you're not as well versed with? Or do you just kind of play your own game? What do you think?
honestly, I think we're going to see the kind of regional meta go into play here. So we're going to see, North America, they're very aggressive. They're going to be coming out on top of that from the beginning. I think we're going to see the regional kind of play. We have the Southeastern Asia. They're kind of taking more slow in the beginning, and then when you come further into the end, they go very aggressive third party and, stop and scout every compound they go into and everything. So I think we're going to see, the regional meta come into the first game, and then slowly, as we come through the days, we're going to see adaptability to these 20 teams, how they play and how they counter that, how they breach the other teams.
I have a theory in that regarding actually about this sort of specific thing, because we tend to see in championships time and time again certain teams that perform amazingly well in the first day, and I think a main element of that is because in the first day of any kind of tournament, teams usually fall back to a bit more cushiony, they're a bit of a safe side center strat, which means crashing in the center of the circle in the compound that is safest to defend from there, so that you have following circles as well. That's why edging teams that like to brawl, teams that are good, we're called them sweeper teams, of course, because they're very good mid-game into sweeping their circles all the way around so that they get safe passes to the next one. I think that's why they get such a good point system, such a good point standing in after the first day. After it, of course, all the teams are going to be watching the videos. They're going to realize, okay, maybe everybody's crashing, so it's a bit more viable to actually stay on the edge. And then the second day, usually you're going to see a bit more teams actually playing the edge strat.
We've certainly seen some of those teams that actually already play the edge strat kind of to a T almost. I think one of the teams that really highlights for me is a team that drops around apartments area from North America, being Team Gate. Even when circles have gone down towards military, they're still very happy with staying on the edge of the circle on mainland, even though there's kind of like an 80% chance, 85, 90% chance of that circle shifting down to military. So there's still some viability in those edge strats.
I mean, I think especially on first day, edge strats are superior. I think you need to change, you need to adapt kind of through that. I think on the first day, we're going to see teams that usually edge strat, they will prevail. And then on the next day, where teams realize that are many teams middle, that they can edge towards the later stages of the game, second circle, third circle even. So first day, I think we're going to see the edge teams do good. We're not going to see that many teams go on the edge because everybody wants to be in the middle, even though being in the middle in the first circle is not as viable as it usually is or it used to be.
Yeah, and that's for a very, very good point. We have to mention this, and again, catering to the newer audience, is that the circle system that we have here isn't the same as the default one that we played on. So, of course, considering that the circle strength is much, much slower, so with that in mind, you have a lot of play on the edge.
Absolutely. Let's talk about some of our teams, of course, though. This is Navi coming in as seed number 1 from the CIF region, and they do have that feeling that Elaine is going to be playing along with them as well, but he's certainly proved his mettle in that CIF region. Navi and a Vanguard look particularly fantastic in the CIF region.
I mean, honestly, here in Navi, they're going to be a team coming out on top on the first day. They're edging team. They come late to the later circles, even if it's on top of them. We saw Eileen, even though he's a substitute, he did fantastic for them in the CIS qualifiers. He's a very good substitute for him. I feel like he fits in well. He's very communicative and very good for that.
Oh, and another team getting a lot of response here from the crowd. 4AM hailing from China, a team that have won their TPP round. I like it. I like it a lot. And overall, they performed extremely well in TPP, so they've got a great opportunity here in day number 1 and 2.
Yeah, absolutely. 4AM performed great in TPP. They came in second to last in the FPP tournament. There goes that great support from China. You gotta love the crowd. The Chinese crowd is really great. Right. But yeah, I do think they're gonna have much higher chances in these first 2 days of the TPP tournament. I don't know if there's much to say about the FPP side of things, but then again, they're going to have to really adjust their strategy because they're a very aggressive team. They're a very vengeant team. If one of their players goes down, they don't necessarily play it on the safe side. They will go and try to attack, even if they're at a disadvantage.
Even if, as you said yourself, statistically, the more players you have into the later stages, they know that. They know if you have 4 players alive into the 4th circle, you have a higher chance, a much higher chance of winning the game.
Absolutely. Another team that we've got coming in here from Japan, of course, we have CG, and they actually have 2 teams here representing, which is important. Their organization pretty much dominates the Japanese region.
I mean, Chris Gaming, we have Windfall and Sanadu. Windfall, fantastic team. They're going to be having great times in the Milta area. They're going to be, I think they're going to be in the Milta area alone. Some thought that Ghost went there, but they're going to be there alone. They're going to be chilling there in that area, and they're going to be having good rotations from there.
One of the big teams coming into this tournament for a lot of people is Gen G Gold, with this team having propelled themselves all the way to the very top there, challenging Gen G Black for a long time, but finally really taking that mantle off them. They're one of the big names coming into the tournament.
And also we have Simpson, who played with Black previously. Correct. He played with them in Katowice, so he has a huge insight on that team. So if they come in a fight in the end game, they will try to annihilate them, and they know exactly how to.
And another team coming in from Korea, of course, we have Gen G Black here as well. And overall, for a long, long time, they were the top of Korea, be it with KSV no title. Of course, OGN Interface was definitely always challenging up there while they were KSV no title. But Black, as it stands right now, came out of second seeding in the Korean region, and they're looking here to perform. They're a bunch of veterans when it comes to the Korean team.
They're veterans, but also they're back to their old lineup after Simpson went out and went to gold. They're back with Dramatic, and that's what they played with for a long time. So
that's what they've been good, actually.
That's what they're good at. So excited to see that. And here we see something I can't read. But it feels like a support.
I think it's a China #1, perhaps. What are the things that could be said?
Representing Refund Gaming there as well. Thank you for joining us here. Everyone from across the world has joined us here in Berlin to see who is going to become a world champion, not only in TPP, but also in FPP. And when it comes to the first game, we are ready to go, gentlemen. Game #1 here of PGI 2018. Let's over to the commentary team for game #1.
Thank you so much, and yeah, we are incredibly lucky to be doing this. This is an incredible opportunity between these teams to finally show us who really has what it takes when it matters. Their legacy starts today. That's the big part here for these teams.
That's literally it. I mean, we've been here from the start. We've seen all the qualifiers across the world. We've talked various teams. They're these best in the world, are they best in the world? But really, we do have the best in the world. And now it all comes down to this. They have to fight across two modes, TPP and FPP. We've seen variances, quite a lot of swings recently with, okay, you might be able to play this mode, but can you play that mode? And it kind of all comes down together. All right, there might be an average one, but at the end of it, there can only be one.
That's exactly what we're going to find out throughout the course of the next couple of days. And again, thank you to everyone turning up midweek. What is this incredible crowd? Berlin, you surprise me every single time I come here, but what a beautiful audience already. And I've got a surprising little thought that, you know, I thought maybe coming out here, Na'Vi might be the favorites, or maybe it might be Liquid. Maybe not. We have a couple of different teams coming in, getting a lot of support. So I'm loving seeing that, especially the 4 AM side. I'm liking seeing the crowd kind of getting behind them, getting loud. It's not even in game yet, and they're getting rowdy.
I mean, this is what we kind of see when we've been looking at, for example, I use FaZe and Liquid. We talk about these teams, we see them performing over in Europe. So, these are the best in the world. These are the guys that are playing at the top level. We don't see these other scenes. We don't see what they're doing behind the scene. I mean, we look at Korea, an example. They had 5 Pro Tours to get to this stop. 36 teams to get through. I mean, that's it's a bit of a gauntlet. To be able to get here out of 36 teams is massive.
And you'd only look at the other regions and simply say, oh, of course they deserve to be here. They fought incredibly hard for it. But then you look at, as you said, the region out there, that was an incredibly grueling task.
Yep.
So no one can take it away from any of these teams making it to this point. To walk onto that stage is truly an honor. And I think we're going to find out how badly they want it. That's as much as you can say when it comes to this. All these teams are incredibly talented, skilled, tactical. They have the mechanical ability. But can they deliver on a big stage? We haven't talked about it. They didn't highlight it much on the desk. People get blooming nervous. Look at that crowd. Look at that audience. This isn't sitting at home anymore. This isn't just you in your bedroom. This is you with a big audience watching your every single move.
There are a few teams that have literally qualified through one event. That was their first LAN event. They've qualified for a spot and now they're here. Like, it's talk about taking a bit of a jump up. All right, we've been in the, we've seen it through the old ages where you go to your little LAN events, you kind of build up the momentum, you get better and better through time. Some of these teams have quite literally gone, okay, we've won one qualifier and now we're sat there.
Not bad.
Playing for $1 million.
Not bad at all. And the desk got away with it. Wasn't many predictions down there. Kalaris let him off lightly. He was being a kind man to start off the day. I won't be so kind. What do you? I don't think predictions are right. Let's kind of set the tone here.
Yep.
What do we think we're going to see coming into this, especially coming into the third-person perspective? Let's kind of keep that as like a little bit of an undertow here, that it will be slightly more adjusted than what we're used to seeing, at least in this side of the world.
I mean, generally, we've been trying to assess this as much as possible, where teams could potentially be dropping, where they could potentially be fighting. Until this game actually gets going,
It's all theory.
It's all up in the air. We don't really know. We can theorize and we can best predict. One thing that I think we have at least kind of got some common ground on is the Korean teams. They could be crashing into teams early on. When we look towards Novo, you know, we see Honey Badger Nation, who both ignorantly said, we ain't moving out of here. And then we look on the opposing side, Genji Black, up in North George. We could have a few problems along the way. I definitely think, to kind of answer what you said, Korea is something that we have to look at in terms of the performance that they've been doing, especially Gold. When you've done 5 Pro Tours and you've come second at 3 of them, that sets a statement.
It is. It's a big statement piece, and I think there's going to be a lot of that here. I think teams want to come out and make a statement. You want to get others not coming near your area, not using that area for rotations. You want to kind of put the fear of God in them, because you've got to get off to the blocks. You've got to start this one quick. Otherwise, teams will be looking at you like you might be the weak link. You're the way we get further ahead here. This is why we have to see these teams coming out the gates very early on looking good. I think there's something to be said for a lot of the teams who aren't experienced on bigger stages or playing in tournaments anywhere near this caliber, that if you don't get that hot start, if you don't get that first kill, if you don't get that little bit of a good game at the beginning, the loot that you want, you're going to not feel out the game. You're not going to be able to bound back. That's where the experience would kick in. I feel with some of the more established teams who know what it's like to kind of brawl your way back in through the next couple of days if you get that bad start.
I think the overarching, not necessarily a problem, but difference from other competitions is how many little games they are. You can't use certain ones as testers. Okay, we'll drop here, we'll see how it goes. Maybe we lose a player, maybe we don't, maybe we can carry on. Maybe we can try different things and, you know, kind of pull a phase, for example. Feel it out on day number 1.
Look how well that went for phase.
Yeah, a little bit unfortunate. And then day 2 and 3, pull it out the bag. You don't get that. With 8 games, it literally is cutthroat, do or die. You can't make any mistakes, because one mistake, one really bad game, putting you in 20th position, it just puts so much pressure throughout the next 2 days.
Okay, if you're going to predict, let's say, let's just have a little go at this. Top 3, you can pick any team to sit within that. Who are you thinking for today?
You'd be wrong to not choose 4am. You know, when you look at what they've been doing coming out of the China region. Again, 4am, we talk about good days, bad days.
Oh, they are the completely polarizing ones at times.
TPP, first position in the qualifier.
God tier.
Happy days. FPP, 19th.
Puts a question mark in your head. It makes you wonder what's happened there.
Anything, you like a little phase of anything can happen. Anything,
it's not Sunday.
Any given Sunday,
No,
excuse me.
The Scoots isn't here yet, all right. He's probably watching somewhere, and it is the infamous Any Given Sunday, but it does not only apply to Sundays, it feels, especially in this game. Things can go wrong. The difference made between good and great teams is the ability to recover and work with the hand you're dealt. That is what makes an incredible team at this game, and we have some sat right beside us, behind us there on that stage, preparing themselves, going through those final thoughts in their head, just going through the motion of, okay, are we still doing this plan? Yes, yes, yes. They know what they're doing. They know their loot routes. They know the threats. They know what's at stake now.
I think to answer your question further, I think definitely Liquid, you can't count them out regardless. These are old Armor boys. They've been playing third person.
I'll give you Liquid.
Just because it's third person, all these FPP players, you're just giving them more vision.
Hey, look, we all played the third person. When this game first came out, that's all we were playing as well.
It's a lot of fun, let's be honest.
It was really good.
It really is a lot of fun.
Look, I'm not gonna, I've just said it on air. I can't even pretend I can be like low key. It's like,
I don't play it.
It is good fun. But the point is that who else is joining them? Because you've gone for the two gifts. So you're going to go for
all right. You know what? I was going to say Genji Gold, but I'm going to say a Vanguard.
See, I was going to go CIS on this one, and I think Martin said it well on the desk. He said that they're the ones to look out for. Na'Vi, of course, not with full roster, could be in a bit of a problem there. They don't have the kind of go-to look that we like to see them under. This could be the room for a Vanguard to really come out and do something quite nasty.
I mean, we saw him at the CIS qualifier. It was first and second position, and they were trading shots left, right, and center. It was pretty wild. Like, one day at the end of it, you'd have a Vanguard up in first position, then the next, all of a sudden, it'd go back to Na'Vi. When they both didn't get first or second, they were both down the bottom of the board, so they kind of, it's really weird. It's really bizarre. They follow one another. Whether or not they have this intuition generally, all right, you're my biggest competition, so I have a good estimation or guesstimation of where you're going to be. Obviously, Drainish used to play for that team, moved across. Yes, they're not playing with a full roster. Yes, Shade1 is an absolute god for his age, and if he does, and when he does come back into the roster, that team is going to get elevated something chronic. I mean, the man's an absolute machine, but still, They knew this was happening. It's not as if it's an emergency, oh God, what are we going to do?
No.
So iLame's been playing for a while now.
Okay.
They're going to be dangerous, let's be honest.
Oh, there's no taking danger away. I think there's
Zero.
danger in every single one of these teams, whether it be first person or third. I don't think that's really within question. I think when you really come down to the point, though, I think you're right. There is still danger in that roster. And I was surprised. I was wondering if you're going to go for the kind of more Korean side or the CIS side. And where are you confirming CIS here?
I'm going to do because I'm concerned about how this first initial drop's going to go for both Korean teams for the simple
That's a
fact
good point.
of, you know, we have WTSG there. They went,
Big name
boys,
as well.
we ain't moving. Simple as that. And same from the North American Honey Badger Nation.
There's a lot.
And anything can happen. This game one's going to be a little bit wild.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of nerves coming through as well. I think this will be where you'll see a lot of teams trying to work it out a bit. Again, the game is almost underway. If you are tuning in at home, anywhere in the world right now, if you're in the arena, thank you for joining us here. We are almost prepared. You can see the teams, they don't want to rush this. They don't want to get anything wrong. When you get in that game, you want it to be 100%. You want your focus to be purely on how you are going to be the last team standing.
I think as well, just to kind of, in the final few seconds while this does go forward, for these teams that do know there are enemies abound, there are players, teams that are going to be in their drop zone, where they're going, in their local towns, their villages. If you get bullied out of that position, what does it say to other teams? Are you A, a pushover? Or at least are you B, when you go to another place and have to find another place, it's going to be difficult to loot. And we have game number 1. We are live, we are kicking. Berlin, make some noise! Playing route, starting off at Zaki. She's going to go diagonally over the map, ending at Milta Power. Now, this is the point, Lauren. Where do people go? Where do people start? Where do we see? It could be everything we've wrote down could be just a complete mismatch.
I might just throw this over there in a second. We're going to have to keep our eyes drilled on this map, and I'm sure you guys are at home wondering where teams are going. What is the plan here? We're seeing a couple of teams heading off quite early on, and if there's anything that stands out to us that maybe not in the norm, then we'll highlight it. Anything standing out to you so far?
Yeah, I didn't expect anybody going Severnian. It looks like 2 teams are eyes on the prize.
Well, that was meant to be available. That was meant to be open for grabs.
Ironically, both of these teams qualified through the same qualifier. They know one another. This is both of the Asian teams from the Taiwanese, I think it was qualification. Okay. So they'll have some idea at least how they played.
Let's look at George as well, because we did say about Welcome to South George that the Korean teams could be questioning them very early on. And hey, hello? Oh, that car's looking a little different. It's looking quite nice.
It's a nice bit of paint work. I like it.
Fard's got a nice new ride to just go for a little drive around and just really show off in George now. He's got the little Hot Wheels coming in, so he's going to get himself going as well. So welcome South George. You need to be on a swivel, though. They know that there are teams close by, and the circle has come through. So we know where that's going to be. That is towards the southeast side of the map. Almost slap bang in. The middle would be, I guess, shelter a little to the south of it. So you're looking at that sort of area to be where they crunch towards. But now we get to see it all open in front of you. Who gets first blood? Who's going to get the loot they want? Where are these teams going?
All right, then, so we've got the usual format here. If we look across to South George, now, this is an interesting one because as we look at Genji Black, they've gone for the 2-2 split. It looks to me like potentially they might try and box in WTSG. They know WTSG's here. Avanga, they're happy. They can do the usual thing. They'll just chill in the north. However, when we look at CGX, I didn't expect him to be so far up in Zaki.
No, it's curious here. We are seeing 4AM working their way across the bridge. We did have a little glimpse of that as well, heading south. But there are teams waiting over in Nova. Now, I don't know how looted up this team is, so this could be a problem. He doesn't even have a mini. This could be a picked-up kill. This could be first blood in the tournament. This could be everything coming through here. The mini does get the tag, but it doesn't get the frag just yet. This could be huge now.
I think he may have at least touched the tire. You saw the car wobbling a little bit as the rest of 4AM. They will try.
It's going to be a one-shot now, and one of the players there
connection.
Just about making their way.
Reload saved his life. Lucky man.
God V is counting his stars.
So where are they pinning them back? I love it. The fact that you actually have fan bases here. I don't think we've quite seen this on this scale yet and on this level where fans literally turn up to support their teams.
And I'm wondering if that was a bit of a read into the other team as well. If you're looking at the bridge area, if you know how a team likes to play, you know their rotation routes, you position one man towards it. Could be a piece of, a bit of mind play there. I like the idea of it, but everyone is still alive. No one wants to be the first to fall.
Okay, so let's talk about the ones that we actually did get correct. Now, Liquid, we know they go Yasnaya.
Yep.
Happy days for them. No one's touching Liquid because they're absolute monsters. The Knights from Europe, they're in the same place as ever, just the left-hand side of Lipovka. Do what they want, watch for people driving by. Savage, now there's no phase here, so you'll see them in Mill to Power. Sometimes when we cast them before, you will always see phase there, but they can just go across all the bank, from the power down to the mini power, all along the coastline. Meanwhile, further left, we keep going through. We see Honey Badger Nation. Now, I expected them to go Nova, and they even said, we're going Nova, it's not a problem. They've backed off. So this is where we see Genji Gold. They're allowed to go home. They get the usual place as Nova, and it's 4 AM who end up being inside military. Usual place for Navi, down at bottom in Prim. Ironically, no one's actually there to kind of even bother them. However, the playing route wasn't too good for them. It did take a bit of time to get there. They've only just landed on their feet. They need to get that loot now and then start to get a wiggle on, because that circle is quite far away.
I just want that car, but yes, it is far away. The thing is that they've had not much going their way. With the circle and the plane route combining, it does mean they are going to be chipped away at time. And I'm wondering if anyone goes for like early good positioning here, if anyone's going to be that quick. It's very early game, though, to be doing that. But you are going to be seeing teams kind of considering it, because we know there's not that many hard compounds, quote unquote, if you look at towards the area that's probably going to centralize on, that kind of southern area, possibly by the lumberyard. It's very tricky to get good positioning there, because there's a lot of open ground, a lot of hillside. So we are starting to see some of the teams working their way towards certain positions. They may not be fully happy with the loot they've got, but at this point you want to get that positioning early. Send that one man out to claim that good spot, so then you can pull the rest of your players into the same position.
The Knights have got a good run because they're so split, and that's how they do it. They'll send 1 or 2 down to Lipovka. You'll see Kramer up at the top, and then Box It usually kicking it somewhere around prison. They're really spread out. Now that circle, if I was a betting man, I'd probably suggest it's going to shift north. We will soon find out. You're probably looking in the bottom corner. We've also got the new observer tools on there. You can see the time of what's currently on the game. You can see how many teams are alive, how many players, and then the blue zone phase. So that time is until it actually clicks over. So you'll have 2 timers. You'll see 1 till the next phase is actually about to move, and then 2, how long it is till it touches the edge. You mentioned earlier on 4 AM, they did get a bit tanked up to get down onto Millie base, but now they've kind of, at least, we did see in scrims as well that they did go here a few times. That's a 24. That's a nice goal. Is that silenced as well? Did I catch it?
I can't see it at that angle. I'm not sure. But the one thing about military bases, it's the supplementing loot that you sometimes lack. I think Boogie slightly highlighted it on the desk as well, is the fact that sometimes you don't always get those perfect scopes. You don't get all the perfect attachments because they just don't seem to have the place here. So again, that could be a factor. We are seeing at least a little bit of the scopes on here. And actually, Wick, he's a danger man. We know it can be. This could be first blood, and it will be. Wick confirms. And the Aussies fall down under, and Champs is not going to be feeling so good about that one.
Yeah, that's not a good way to start. Wick claims the first victim. Honey Badger Nation, 15 points in the bag. And if you look on Champ's name in the top right-hand corner, you will see the red splatter. That means they are confirmed dead. Before, you wouldn't actually see that. You'd see a skull, but now you will see a blood mark. When you see the blood mark, they're out of the game. They're deleted from the server. Looking at the overview as well.
Oh, this is look at how many teams are posturing for this area. Everyone wants this position very quickly. This is what I theorize would be end game, quote unquote. But you've got to be careful here. You don't want to kind of put yourself in a position where everyone's eyes on you. You've got to try and play that timing just right, and that is the name of the game, and it's so tricky to do it.
Every time I look at this car, I just think of that edgy t-shirt I had as a kid. The black shirt that we're all over as we do whip across to Myth. Just trying to take control here on the side of the lumber mill. Looking across as Refund do try and get up there. If they get in the lumber, they're pretty much going to be central, so it would be it'd be decent for them. Nice little bit of pacing. They can move up there. James, however, in the kill feed.
Now, let's also remember, this being third-person perspective, a lot more of these just kind of terrain-based positions become very viable. It's not just hard compound, Scoon's getting in on the action. This is Liquid lining up the kill feed very early on, and a couple more shots come through. The connections aren't so perfect, but James, he's being a little bit naughty about this. He's been a little bit relentless.
So they've taken 1 player out there from Oyun, and at least took the tires out of the vehicle. Now that vehicle's gone completely, so they just smashed that to 1,000,000 pieces. The smoke's down at least, so you can run away with this one. Keep your eye out, folks, for all various little differences here, especially on the observer mode. There are a few new tools that PUBG are going to be showing off, and they are damn good because they give us so much more information. Meanwhile, this is let's talk about this team then. Genji Black obviously not had the greatest of runs over in the Korean leagues. However, still second place is pretty damn good. They won the first initial out of all the Pro Tours. They came first. And then after that, everything kind of escalated down. Every time we saw Genji Gold get second, these guys got 11th. I think they got 11th 2 or 3 times back to back.
This is going to be a bit of a breach here. There's players right on by. This is huge. Wick's already got 1 kill, so he's got, first blood. in the back of his mind, but he could be in for another bit of a problem here. He doesn't realize how many players there are possibly, or maybe he does. Fast Trail's gonna be able to spot this one out, and they're on the run. They're getting out of there. They felt the danger. They don't want any of that. Wick might be able to switch over to the 16, get a bit of damage done, but Windfall make it away.
Yeah, they definitely had some sort of info there. They at least got away with it. Happy days for them. Windfall do keep all four alive. And this is the thing when we look at all these teams, they've all been here. They're all event winners. You wouldn't be here if you wasn't at the end of the day. So they all have a very, very good idea to play. Speak a little bit more about what you mentioned with the TPP side of things and those aspects. Obviously, there's a lot of old Armour boys in here. Coming back to it and looking at all these different players and talking to them, all right, it brings it back. It brings back the memories and rolls back the years, so to speak, that they can at least have this information laying down. I mean, laying down in itself, all right, we talk about snakes and stuff, but able to lay down and get the lay of the land, know where the cracks and all the crevices are. These guys know this map, Erangel, like the back of their hand. If there's a tiny, tiny little ditch, bump, or crevice, they'll abuse it.
Oh yeah, they know exactly where they can position, whether it be hard cover or not. So for now, a lot of teams just trying to find their place. We're looking for when that circle hits and moves to the next spot. Is it going to be a hard shift? Will it push players into an uncomfortable position? For now, no one's playing massively late either. We'll see a lot of games where teams are taking their time here. We're here in a car 98, and that gets me excited. But overall, we will see teams, occasionally taking their time, maybe not fancying the early rotations, just working edge circle. But for now, it looks like everyone's going very central here. This is what I mean about those opening game nerves, is that teams will not want to take any risks. It's okay, what's the safest bet? And this is it.
They could have moved a little bit down the hill, not too far from where they started. He has neither. Could have stayed in if they really want to, but not last to arrive. It's going to be Na'Vi, all four. 3 vehicles between them. Happy days for them. The Chiefs will be seeing this one. There's no point in even taking shots because A, you're going to give away your position, and B, you're already down a man, so you don't want to be losing more. We are only, of course, 10 minutes into this game. 1 man down. It's not very, very good. The last team that will be arriving will be Gen G Black. Do you see are we seeing
Na'Vi getting out? I think they're okay. I don't think they're going to really go for much. The vehicles are safe. They're pretty well positioned. I don't know if they're going to go for too many peaks. Their gear's not great. I'm seeing level 1 vest, level 1 helmet. It's not ideal. So that could be a factor down the line, that if you've got to be careful with what you have. But 4 AM on the move, just going to be trying to position themselves here. But OMG aren't far away, and their position's going to be quite tricky for 4 AM to get past. But considering 4 AM probably play this position a lot, you've got to feel they know how to deal with this.
I think as well, if you're going to be knowing that this is 4 AM, OMG obviously being this is the Chinese team that fell second to them, to come here, you want a little bit of revenge. If you can take these boys out, it's going to give you so much confidence. But again, 4 AM rocking that M24, you've got to be careful. That thing will take your face off, especially if you don't have the range. I mean, you need at least M16 with a 4x to be able to tap fire back and give some sort of cover fire support. At the moment, they're in a really good position. They're central pretty much of the map. They've got the gas station locked down. They've also got a little bit of utility in the buildings to the left, and if they do need to evacuate, they've got the vehicles to do that. Gen G still wandering on the old hillside. This is something that I think comes from the TPP kind of region. Notice how some of them will take vehicles and then they'll actually eject players on, while the rest of them kind of, all right, we've seen it in Europe where you'll get that initial scout, so to speak.
We've gone to the east. You can see the big shift now. It was kind of centralized, well, previously it was centralized towards the lumberyard. Now it's kind of shifted all the way to the east, and that's a lot of blue. That's a lot of water in there. That's going to make it quite tricky for these teams to find good positions, because we already know the Liquid's got that god tier compound that I love. I think that's a really nice spot. You have a couple of teams in Malta early, but that thing can be quite tricky to rotate away from, push it out of there. If it shifts you back central, late game, you're going to be in trouble. All these teams are going to be looking for room, and this is going to be terrifying, and this could be a bigger problem. The AK tears him down, and the nade just to confirm the kill. And you can see the nice little tracer, and it slipped a little bit too far away, but it's good enough to get the job done.
Yeah, those nades, 3.5 meter kill box, happy days. You ain't getting nowhere when you are down. Unfortunately, with the nade, you are out. Here comes the big rotation, then everyone needs to just get a land grab. This is going to be so messy. And TG, they've opted, Larson, actually, they've got WTSG behind them. We've got 2 teams. Look at the bottom, we've got AHQ that might have eyes on this, but TG,
Larson's
they've got to turn
trouble.
face.
He's getting tracer fire from way further away as well. Larson needs to be very careful here. The nades come down, but he's going to be pinned into this one, feeling very isolated and very pressured. Dre from the back lines finding Gaxi. That is massive play coming out.
So we got Mossy onto Larson, we got Knights onto Gaxi, so we got TG and Knights just picking apart WTSG. Vard needs to make something happen. The grenade goes off in front of him, his screen is shaking, that noise is so brutal.
There's no way they're getting revives out here. There is no way they're saving their teammates. Vard might have to just bail on this. Gaxi could be picked up potentially, but it depends how aggressive these guys want to get. If they want to push this, WTSG are on the back foot, and Knights... Oh, Dre, look at what he can see. If only he could see as much as we could, just a centimeter away.
I mean, even if he does get him up, it is in such a nasty position. TG still laying down fire to the left-hand side. This is 4 teams. This is what's going to happen now with this circle. They're all just going to be crushed together and compacted. 76 players for this circle. When there's about 40%, maybe 30% water is ridiculous. Everyone's going to be on their coastline, and then when the circle does, if it does move back towards the west, you'll then get all those coastline people just unfortunately boxed in a little bit too much. Chileta comes round the corner, and we do see THM ready, waiting, confirms the kill with the Tommy gun of all things. Fair play. Find what you can and make it work. Level 1 vest, level 2 helmet, and Tommy gun. All right, the M4's there, but still not the greatest to be working here with.
No, but doing marvelously as is. Let's see if that AK can get back into this, though. Hands of Eska. Known to be a bit of a player here, but we need to see the numbers reflecting that. Need the kills to be coming through, but this is a lot of teams split in very kind of individual positions here.
I mean, we've got to be careful. Savage just in the distance as well. If Floku and his partner decide to move up into the mini mill to power area and kind of look...
That, you know, if prisons weren't scary enough, Richard, add these lot to it.
I'm just looking at how much range Knights. I don't know if you noticed, I think they had 2 SLRs and a
seeing a
K98
six,
between
I'm
them.
seeing it, yeah, they've got plenty.
It's ridiculous. Level 1, level 2. Oh, Evanga have taken a bit of fire. That's the M24, so Ono himself, pretty well-known sniper. Winner's actually going to give him a bit of a taste of his own medicine, completely takes his head off. They'll be able to crawl inside there, provided there's no grenades. Because you can, it's really, the only problem with those containers, it's really easy to bounce nades through the door, and then you compact it so much. This is the position we're talking about on the rock side. It's okay being here, and it's a really good position now for the circle, but if it does shift more towards the west, they're then fighting an uphill battle.
I'm just wondering if Winner knows where the 2-2 split may be. I don't know if he's aware of the other 2 players, Keen and Umino. That could be the issue. If he tries to overextend to pick up one of these 2 again, punish them like he did before, that could be a bit of a problem, but Tyson's going for a bit of a walk as well. These guys aren't resting on their laurels. They're very active in the way they're playing this. They're very much looking for opportunities and being aware of where they could be pinched from. That could have been a spot there as well. It looks like Winner might have been able to call that one out. Considering they're down to 2 players, this is a good way to play.
Glad you brought that up. 2 players, and you're rocking level 1 helmet, level 1 chest. It's not great. And when you're having a crack at a Vanga like that and taking down their IGL in the form of Honor, you're going to have all kinds of problems because now they know where you are. But the main place that hasn't been taken is the backside of Mill to Power. I'd expect maybe one team to just go, not necessarily for a breach.
There's going to be so many.
Just bail for it.
Yeah, there's going to be so many teams going for that back sort of positioning. So many teams now need to move. The safety has been removed here. It's basically centering in on Mill to Power. Every team's on the run. In fact, they're in trouble. Mino needs to get himself into cover. No! Caught in the heels. Edge catches him out. That a bit of a mini work coming through Major on this one. And they do just about get to the yellow houses. He does get into safety. But they need to slow this down for a second, get everyone in, get the revives, get this as their own.
OMG are actually traversing behind them. Here comes everybody. I mean, look at that. The cavalry has arrived, boys and girls. The top of the hill, you've still got 1 team. I think, I'm not entirely sure that is all the way up there. But still, they're all, oh, bye-bye. Ranger, Ragnar, should I say. Unfortunately, will get run over. He's down and out. In the open as well, you won't expect him to be picked up. Meanwhile, we'll see this 4 AM going against. We'll see Loki also falling. That's a 24 as well for OHM. And this is what we mean now, Lauren. This place is just going to be so messy. The size of this circle and so many people alive, the kill feed is just going to be alive.
Somehow Liquid made it here. Somehow they are okay for now, but we are seeing Ragnar now being confirmed dead, getting really punished on this one. A lot of the teams being caught on rotations in really curious ways. Somehow running just simply, maybe they don't have the vehicles or they got damaged.
Yumru, unfortunately, will have fallen off the back of the vehicle there, unless he went off the back.
And punished too.
Yeah. Cheyenne Blue comes in. Now we'll see North America stepping up. McCoy has a headshot onto Drainey. So Navi, first player, does fall, but he must have got back up straight away because, oh no, excuse me, he's down. So that's Myth. That's a kill steal. 15 points going the way of Myth.
Oh my god, Pino, gotta be so scared here. Knights surround him on all fronts. He does get down 1, but he can't survive for the second. The trade comes back in from Texas, and they should be able to confirm that kill. There's the smoke going in to try and allow their teammates to get the revives here. Voxic will be picked up, and we'll be seeing Kramer probably dealt with by his teammates. But Texas is worried because he knows there's going to be more players here, and Texas does finally confirm the kill towards Pino. So Knights are in a decent position. assuming they don't get pressured from other players for a couple of seconds so they can get those revives back in.
So far, I mean, I could be completely wrong here, but I'm thinking. I've not seen
these
anyone.
shots! Scoom, what on earth? You can see the traces from a mile away.
This is the thing, I've not seen anyone from Europe go down. Oh, excuse me, WTSG, obviously. But still, Knights have been really putting their bag here. Liquid have been doing well. Gaxi and Miraku, I'm really glad these guys are at least managed to stay alive because they got battered from 2 different angles in quite the early game. Frank Fad's there as well. I thought they'd lost more than that. So that's a really good recovery from WTSG, but it depends what's it done to their economy. How's their gear? How's the meds? They could be in all kinds of problems in the late game. Ebap onto Mossy. TG lose 1. 15 points in the bag for Na'Vi. Mortify literally clinging on by his bare teeth.
The sound of these guns at range does sound lovely sometimes. Scoom, though, is collecting kills. This is big work. Now, every team is still roughly alive here. 20 teams still stand. So no full team has gone down just yet. But Liquid are looking like they want to get kills here. They look very hungry on this. You can see that 4 times complementing that well for them. Next circle gonna slightly move them southeast again. So Mini Milta is a gorgeous position currently, but 4 AM, they're still on that score feed here. They're still racking these bodies up. They're still doing well for themselves.
Thankfully, nobody went directly behind Milta, so at least they can chill for now. Liquid's in an absolutely banging position. They can just sit behind the hill. P for Potato takes out Timid. That's revenge earlier on for Wick with the initial kill. Onto the Chiefs. But Mew still lurking, still waiting. Ares will find Momino. That's a second knock from him. Grizzly back onto P for Potato. A little bit of revenge there. Esther, though. You know what? OHM are causing all kinds of problems in this kill feed.
They really are. They're just kind of here, there, and everywhere. They haven't been particularly spotted. This is a nice angle. He can control the spray. It's a good spot, but the cover's decent on the other side, even if his position's okay with the circle against the other team. His smoke goes up, but he's got to be cautious here. There's so many players around. He's trying to be a nuisance on his own. Where's his teammates in this one? Where's his support?
The issue being up there is that circle's going to hurt. You know, it's really going to hurt. They've got 2 minutes 50. Look at that kill feed. We've already seen one team fall. Gaxi's not far behind.
WTSG is screwed here.
I think they got one up.
Yeah, it's just Miraku right now, and he's on the run. He's running into more fire from other teams. This could be them gone. They could be the second team to fall out of this one. Miraku, I think, is your last man standing on that squad. And he's getting tagged up as well. It is. Bart's already gone down. Miraku is in trouble. Pressured just about everywhere. He's going to try and build himself a little fortress to heal in and try and keep away the wolves at the door, but for now he is in real trouble.
Really quick note for Liquid. Even though they were safe, Lauren, they've still moved. They decided to take the middle Mini Milta power. That's amazing. To run the gauntlet of so many people still been in there. So, okay, boys, we're not safe here. Let's get out of it. They took the vehicles. They're now central.
It used to be one of the strongest spots in this map a while ago. If you ever played that wall, it used to have a little bit of a different position you could get to that was very, very dangerous. Now it's not there anymore, but you can see the nice control from Dre, but not all the shots hitting, but enough does in the end. Fast Rail does go down. That's a bit of a problem now as the rest of the Honey Badger Nation were behind it. But yes, Na'Vi stole that. So that's not a kill in their pocket.
Ebat takes the dink with the Mini at range. The Mini is a nasty, nasty weapon. Them whole DMRs, like, it's kind of the DMR AR meta at the moment.
Yep.
Throw the 7.62 in there with the SLRs and you're laughing for days. Voxic, the Knights are doing fantastic work here so far. We're seeing plenty of knocks, plenty of kills coming out of them. We'll see how it kind of forwards.
Only 2 confirmed, though. They have been aggressive, they've been assertive, they've been trying to make the plays. You're seeing it still time and time again. Now getting another kill, but it's hard to make it count here because there's so many teams with so many eyes on situations that are just praying for that. And you're praying you don't get spotted if you're this one player. Just snaking on through.
No best than a level 1 budget helmet. Trying to kind of fight for survival here. Samty finds OMG. Here we go. Liquid moving in. Refund going to hit this one, but Liquid's already waiting with open arms.
How is he still alive on that bike? I don't know how long he's going to be alive for now. It looks like he has been found by one of the Savage players in the end, but he made a good run for it.
Jimbo's lurking though. Big James, 1 kill apiece. Samty just looking for one. He got the knock earlier on, so at least he helped out. Na'Vi will collect Thailand. Did they lose? Yes, they must have lost Drainers. In fact, they did because it was stolen by Myth. So they're still down to 3 players inside the circle. They built themselves a little fort, 2 UAZs. And then none of the tires are gone and the vehicles aren't blown out, so they can still at least move if they have to.
Oh, that's a dangerous angle to be a Miraku. You're the last man alive. Oh, this is going to be it. Great shot comes in. And M24 singing as it just completely decapitates any of the hope WTSG had for game 1.
4 angry men. And we'll just bury them, unfortunately. 18th place for WTSG, not a great start in game number 1. The story of this whole game is this circle, though. How many people are alive? I mean, that's the bigger picture of TPP, right? Because you have so much information. You can move slower. A lot more will play edge, which is what we're seeing. And now, Liquid's aggression, getting into mini Milter power, has paid dividends. They knew that Milter had a good chance of being pushed out of it. The main Milter power, they moved. They're in a great position. But still, it's all about the little yellow house at the bottom of the lumber mill. All these players are still going to make a move.
And I was thoroughly impressed with Savage's 2-2 split. They're going for an early push here. As soon as that circle popped in, they're off. They're on the way. They're going to try and meet up with their teammates. Liquid's going to spot this out. There could be a bit of crossfire coming in here. This might not be as easy as they like, but actually, it's not Liquid getting the kills. It's another team in the back lines. It's Gold coming through on that one.
Molodoi onto Myth. Minaru will fall at least. Stylaim as well back onto him. Sees the completion through, but the answer back. So far, Myth have taken one player from Na'Vi. Can they take more? They're trading off left, right, and center.
Look at this push! Richard, he's a madman! He's just gone for the push! He does get traded out in the end, so it's not all gone their way. Made in Thailand, losing their minds in that.
I think that's a one-on-one. Literally, Eba is the last man standing versus Spitz. Spitz inside, so he can gatekeep him if he really wants to. Molodoi will be telling him where the info is here. I mean, I'm really intrigued to see what Eba can do. There's probably not a great deal, to be honest, and he's just trying to fight for survival. CeeLo's gone down. I'm wondering if that's the end of TG's run as well. 4 AM.
Svit, seen this, he's seen the move. How does he play it, though? Made in time. We've seen the aggression. These guys love a bit of it. Why not go for it? He's got the AK in hand. He spots out the player. He gets up close. Can he get the kill? No. Na'Vi denies.
Not only do Na'Vi deny going out in 15th, they also keep a second player alive. That is absolutely massive. They've got a beautiful little ridgeline to work off of. They can chill for 1 minute, 10 seconds. They can get some gear off the dead bodies. They can refuel. Now all of a sudden it's the Knight's turn to fall under the hammer. Just seen, I think it was Drayden go down with a headshot from one of the sniper rifles. OMG, 3-man strong still. Up in the top lines here, but they need to get inside. And when they do get inside, there's not much room. There's not much cover.
Press Gaming, though. Again, this aggression really holding, even though they are playing on the very edge. Oh my God, the blue just about. Oh, he makes it! Good work from him with the meds coming at the last possible second, but for how long? It's, you know, there's no respite here. Turtle, though, keep your eye on the kill feed, catching a nice little shot there. The M24s are seeming to come in really strong today.
They're in a really good position as well. They can gatekeep everybody. Wants to kind of traverse this way around because this ridge that's right in front of them is insane. It's like a plateau. The fact that you can go up and dip behind it, it's massive. You've also got a pylon tower inside. Edge sees one player just chilling. That's a dink and a half.
That's a shot. Sadly, it does get stolen.
Oh, the story of PUBG.
See if you can spot any more. Good eyes here.
The back lines?
And here we go. Look at that circle hit. Mini Milter is going to be really pretty much the final battleground for this game. It will close as central as you like on that.
OMG, you've got to push this one. Liquid are going to see all 4 players they rotate. Excuse me, all 3 players. Not only do they have to rotate past Liquid, they've got 4 AM on the back lines as well.
Savage can do the same. They're not exactly in a bad spot. They're actually within Mini Milter, and you can see exactly what can happen with that beast of a gun. Now, 4 AM, good spot, good position. I like the way these 3 teams have played. They took the initiative early. They're going to gatekeep OMG to a bit of an uncomfortable position. They're fine to a degree where they are. There is a defilade. There has that time limit. How long is that viable? When that next circle hits and pushes us forward, after this, if someone goes on that southern swing, we're done for. You've got to be thinking ahead here. And every team in Mini Milter has really done that.
Na'Vi still taking faces, still keeping alive. Amazing work from these guys so far. 6 kills just between 2 players. Eba, man of the hour, looks up. Move across to Ibi's POV, sees the rest of Evanga lurking in the woods. Diaz and Mumino, they fall back to back. 36 players alive. It's a little bit different from the 60 to 70 we saw earlier on. Chiefs in the Harry Potter, they're just begging, nobody decides to come their way. OMG though, again, you mentioned that defilade, it's nice, but when they've got to move, that's when the problem is. Grammatic now, last man standing here for Gen G Black. They'll at least pick up Keen on the way forward, and now he's gone. 14th position will find their feet.
A valiant attempt at life there, and you're going to see...
Oh my, Wick.
Wick? Are you kidding me right now? He is surrounded. There's so many players near him. Oh my God.
NA on NA. What's he going to do?
Wick, he waits. He hears everything around him. He's letting them go. He's got a flashbang. Hold on, Richard. This is incredibly smart. Balak could be caught by that. He's putting down the utility. We have to go back to it. Surely we have to see how that unfolds.
We've seen Wick, what he can do with nades. Look at what he did to qualify. He killed 2 teams. It was a 1 versus 8 and he did it. We'll just keep an eye on that kill feed and see if it does come through. Staying alive for now.
You can see it in the bottom left. Here is the green and the kind of less colourful colour. It's Samty that on the spray, and that's going to do well. Mumino can't control it, and Jeems confirms the kill. It may not be Samty's, but it will do the job. That goes into Liquid's pockets. 5 kills already. These guys are really putting up numbers. If they can keep this going towards late game, if they have the sustain, they're in a very good spot.
And another one. Gold comes through with a knock. Liquid pick it up. Headshot to kill. 15 points at time, remember.
Oh, Wick. He let them go. Ghost got away from him. Southeast they ran, and Wick crawls his way forward. He can get into safety here as well. He's staying alive for his team. Keep in mind, the rest of his team are dead. He's playing for position as best he can. You have to play it slow, careful, cautious. The other teams will be out for kills and being a little bit more aggressive, but we're seeing some of the CIS teams starting to look a little bit rough.
Yeah, they decided to give himself up to the blue and deny any extra additional points towards the 2 teams that was looking at CGX and the Chiefs. 9 teams alive. You're into your top 10, guys. Here we go. Edge and Critical. They're in a pretty bad spot, to be honest. They've got an open floor right in front of them. However, they do have eyes on the boys of CGX
Oh, this
across
is
the
going
road.
to be a brilliant thing for me. I'm loving this. So 4 AM have to, 1, deal with OMG. Then if they want to move north, it's Liquid in their way. We know that 4 AM have been racking up kills, being aggressive, being good players at this. We've seen Savage doing the same. Savage, to a degree, are okay. They have some positioning within that new circle where they're all right. But look at this wall. It's separating these 2, but Balak gets a lean, gets a shot, gets a knock, but not a kill. Profi now, nade in hand. They might just dip that up and over, but it will do the job. They do confirm the kill. The nade comes in. This could be trouble for Gold.
Turns on a pinhead. He gets the call that people are lurking up in the top of the windows. He hears the bullets kicking off.
They're in between a rock and a hard place here, Rich.
Really are.
You've got to be really careful if you're Ghost. You are surrounded on both fronts. You can't take this too lightly. You want to win one of these 2 fights so you can focus on the second. Profi's torn in 2 minds. Savage are eyeing them up, but OMG are on the move. 4 AM's going to see that as well. Liquid are about to be flooded too. This is about to get very scary for a lot of teams.
James finally goes down. Silent finds him with the scan.
Look at Liquid, look at OMG.
Well.
They're right on top of each other, and OMG, they're finding Liquid. Liquid are in trouble. Can you believe that? Scoop's holding an ankle. Santi's still just about alive. But there is now problems. Ibby's gone down. OMG looking hungry here.
They've been sat happy. No one's really bothered them. They've been picking up kills all
this
over.
They're going for the push on this. OMG, and the nade! It's so good! And now they're pushing it. Silence going in. He's looking through that smoke. Shrouded though. Liquid still just about staying alive. But will they be found? Can they stay alive through this? Or OMG just too much to handle? Ghost in the meantime have been fighting off against Gold. Another nade gets thrown. Samty and Scoom just about alive. And OMG seem to have taken their foot off the gas.
That's insane. You've seen Liquid just perched there for all this time, collecting bodies, collecting numbers.
4 AM are on the run though, Rich. They're making a mad dash for this too. This could be huge between these teams. Ghost has found Chiefs. They're getting
that's a big nade.
Absolutely destroyed here, and OMG are going on the push. The UMP does it. He leaves the corner. Great angle. But who's in the back lines? It's 4 AM. They're coming around to surprise. They've claimed Scoom, and now they want more. 4 AM are so aggressive right now. They're pushing for all of this.
Oh, they want it so badly. Look how much they're pushing it. They're still trying to find these guys, but they're down. They've done it. OMG are gone. 4 AM find them. Liquid's out as well. Oh my word, what a push from 4 AM.
This is huge. Great play. So Savage currently hold the buildings, but Ghost are happy to fight that. Ghost have a little bit of an eye towards 4 AM. Let's take into account where every single one of these 4 remaining teams are. You can see the vast majority, but there has to be someone alive. There has to be another danger man. There has to be someone in the back line. There's another player for now. We can keep tabs on that. But actually, he's kind of got the circle there if you look at that.
Yeah, it's a player from, oh, excuse me, no, it's
Crest Gaming's player.
Okay.
All right. The last standing snake.
I had a few cheers there in the back lines.
But right now, you look at the circle, Ghost essentially have the line. 4 AM have to come towards them. Savage have to get past them. So for now, it's which way do they look? Can they hold this? Can they weather the storm coming their way? 4 AM are a god tier team. I'm taking nothing away from these guys. 8 kills, and they know what's going on here.
I think God V, Imagine
Here
if he
comes the push, Rich.
this is it.
It's 4 AM on the run. All players moving out together, going to try and make this one count, but can anyone stop them? Can Ghost stand in their way? McCoy eyes it up, spots one, gets tagged, does not get the frag backs off from this, but actually 4 AM are being caught in the hills. God V goes down. They do fight back, and we see the battle of the mini Milton teams now unfolding. 4 AM still stand, but Ghost is still in their way. They have not made it past just yet, but Profi eyes them up. Can they spot anyone else out now?
I mean, out of all these teams, they're going to be the most geared.
Look at them
best
crawling,
guns.
Rich.
They're
Look
all
at this play. McCoy, Turtle, Balak, they're going to line them up. This is huge. McCoy now just leans the corner, sprays in, doesn't get the job done. But that time he will. Him and Profi combine, and it's job done. Down to 2, and it looks like Ghost Gaming are in prime position here to take this.
North America. 4
Against the
players alive. He'll try and pick one up, but that's going to be it. Ghost Gaming take game number 1. All 4 players remaining in the final circle. They line them up, they knock them down. What a way to start the day.
And they fought off against the likes of 4 AM, who took down Liquid. We saw so much there. Looking quickly at that positioning, Rich, anything standing out to you?
The thing for me was
that's what it means to these guys.
How many were alive? They were geared up. They had level 2s, they had the guns, they had 24s, they had Kar 98s. They stood their ground, they got together. But I tell you what, 4 AM, I have never seen committed, and that's committed rather than just bail from it, committed aggression ever. They said, all right, it's time to push. They wiped 2 teams back to back.
That was insane play. That is a team with fire beneath them right now. It's phenomenal to watch. 4 AM certainly turned my head. They looked great in that. They looked aggressive, assertive. We saw OMG completely bullying Liquid as well. Liquid did not weather the storm once that team started to really pressure them. This is what we want to be seeing from this tournament. That is the statement to be made. That is the first game we've got here.
12 kills in the bag as well. Like, not only do you get the win, but 15 points a person. Times that by 12, and that's going to jump you up the leaderboards in a rather large fashion. We have to talk about Crest Gaming. We saw the Lonely Snake. Oh, this is a survival at the end of the day. Just because you were chilling in the back line, you're still going to get the points.
There's no right or wrong way to play PUBG. There isn't.
Like that, yeah.
I don't care what you say. Ghost played a brilliant game, but you cannot take anything away from that second position team.
Really quickly, let's touch a bit more on Ghost.
Yep.
This roster right now did not qualify for this event. The 2 Danish players could not go because they were dealing with the travel issues while they were to be able to play in North America. We saw 2 MBS players step in. They then allowed them to qualify for this event. Everyone's kind of saying, all right, this is now the American God Squad. You know, Venerated and Kaden, the American snipers themselves, they stepped up for Ghost in a rather large fashion. Everyone's kind of saying, wow, this is the American roster of tomorrow. Back on the roster, Balok, Turtle, a win. You can't ask for any more on day 1 than that to kind of prove the haters wrong and say, this is our roster, we're North American, we're here to stay. That's insane work. To keep 4 alive as well. I mean, where did they start? So they started in Pachinki.
get into this position.
And he's not moving at all as Team Gates pops up. Like they're in a lot of trouble.
They're just trying to go for position. Nice shots coming up from the boy.
Snap to pressure. Oh my God! Where Click gets the kill and gets the win.
Prone trying to do it, but he didn't know he was there. Stab goes down, but Moody there to trade, but there's more coming from Fast Rail.
So much damage already taken. He peeks back up, gets the down onto one of them, but it is not enough.
Honey Badger Nation comes out with a round win.
But now it's going to be wild card. Took the fight that they could, but they are being punished by Team Gates. Daz is down as well. They are not out of trouble yet.
CeeLo needs to be active and get a little bit of firefight. You know, it looks like they've already burned through all their smokes just to get into this position. Riem has to run.
On the tree, McCoy with the bush.
Team Gates still in a great position. He gets ahead of it just barely. McCoy's running out, but it's Gates right there. Those are the guys in third place. They don't see him. He gets it down onto one of them. And Caden just knocks them back down. They are trying to get some type of spot inside the circle.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Is that a bullet flying around a weird direction? Is that a pan floating around in the air? No, that's Ghost Gaming becoming the poltergeist here in the Mercedes-Benz Arena, and they're able to take the first chicken dinner of the tournament. What a win coming out from them, and we have so much to break down here at the desk. It's unfathomable. I wrote so much down. I was so excited to be able to get into our first game. Gentlemen, joining me on the desk once again, we have Boogie and we have Avenger. We have to start at the very beginning, though. We can talk a lot about Ghost in a moment, because what we saw was some drops that we weren't really expecting coming out, right, Boogie?
Yeah, absolutely. There were some massive surprises. Of course, the very pure area remaining absolutely unlooted.
Yeah.
Teams that have chosen not to go there, and they actually met up in Severity or close by in the quarters as well. That was very surprising, but it was a very, very welcomed as well kind of changed for it not being, of course, in particular.
I mean, as we said, we expected some changes coming up. There were some open places. Germany was